is your hatred for John Cena?
Yo, when Hulk Hogan takes a rock bottom better than you, there's a problem. There's a problem. My man. All right, so give me the camera.
One rock bottom.
Yo, no, it's more than that. Show, give me the camera. I got the fucking camera. Kenny, I'm gonna have to do it for you. I'm gonna give you the whole spiel. He came out as a prototype. Whatever. You know, he slaps Kurt Angle. Ruthless aggression. I'm not into that. Whatever. He comes out as a rapper. I'm like, okay, all right, I can dig it. You know, he's from Boston, so that's a strike. You know, us New Yorkers, we don't fuck with Boston too much, but you know what? I'll look over that. He's doing his thing. Something original. Some I could, you know, there's something different. It's entertaining. Comes around, and my man has a choice between The Big Show, Kane, or Shawn Michaels. And he gives the most pussiest promo I've ever heard in my life. I will never forgive this. And he's on some, well, you know, I don't want to fight The Big Show because, you know, he's a huge guy. And, you know, you got the Big Red Machine who wants to fight him. And Shawn Michaels is a legend. Fuck that, bro. You already beat all these motherfuckers already.
Her return on SmackDown.
Okay.
So I definitely read some rumors about that.
Because for whatever reason, and I don't know Cody's reason, you turn around and go back, and people are gonna be, you destroyed thrones, and you go back? We have been doing this shit for ages, and he still doesn't know how to take it right. Trust me. That's it.
Shit.
Collapse with the kick.
That's what I'm saying. That's the way he didn't collapse during the sun. It was the kick.
He's not even in his fucking chair when he gets in this fucking thing. He's not even in his fucking chair.
Yeah, but he thinks, oh!
There he goes.
Both matches without the wrestlers were in the tape.
And on that note, everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood.
I stay loose, I stay hype. I stay loose, I stay hype. I stay loose, I stay hype. I could do this all night, cause I do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, sip is right. And I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go. Yeah, they know I'm a pro. Let's go, let's go! Yeah! Let's go! Here I go, I get lit, I get hyped for this shit. Right.
Word. He be like, I got a left elbow and a right elbow. I can break your face with an any elbow. Make sure that you get elbowed in your elbow with an elbow. Got the arm bar, get the phone ball, get around with the bomb with the bomb ball.
Daddy's gonna take you to Jersey Shore.
It is fucking knucklehead time, baby. I don't even fucking know. It's Thursday night. You know what that means? And yo, it's Wrestle with Knuckleheads, baby. We in the fucking building. We got some fucking news for Monday with Sasha Banks and Naomi. We got a special fucking guest today. He's coming in later. We got Lay and Show and Gigi coming in later. Bro, we starting this motherfucker off hot like the hot tub. Tell him, pimp. We starting on hot, like in the hot tub, baby. Get out the hot tub. Too hot in the hot tub. But shit, man, yeah, man. Yo, dude, that's some crazy shit. John Morrison, aka Johnny Elite, is now part of AEW. What? You know what I'm saying? I could not get a chance to watch yesterday's Dynamite, even though I know I was watching the Pro Show and Kenny from Nicole Up. They do their live reactions every Wednesday, doing the Dynamite shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching them do it, and what I was hearing, it was some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Krills with the fucking sub on Twitch. That's what's up. John Morrison looked great last night against Samoa Joe. Yo, that was crazy. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a waste to have a secret entrance on Samoa Joe, because how do you have Samoa Joe lose that match? But anyway, yo, listen, he looked great. I'm happy to see him there. He did a wonderful job in Lucha Underground and in Mexico and TNT. In TNA and all that other shit. So let's see what he does in AEW once they have time to actually write stuff for him, because that's the major shit about AEW now, is a lot of people are having a problem with creative because they don't know what's happening until they get into the ring. So it's dude, it's the devil you know, the devil you don't know. People are getting mad because they don't know what's happening, and then we got people walking out on Monday because of they know what's happening and they don't like what's happening. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'm gonna make my stand right here, right clear for all of y'all. I stand with Sasha. I agree 100% with Sasha. If y'all over here can make justifications for Stone Cold doing it and everybody else doing it, then Sasha's right. And like we always say, you stand for something, you fall for everything. You feel me? Like, we always said that we're not gonna fault anybody for being them true selves. We want them to be their true selves. And if this is what she needs to do to, to stay true to herself, then I'm with you, girl. You know what I'm saying? That it's just those are the facts, bro. Those are the fucking facts of the case. We'll get more into it when we get the news crew in here. Because Gigi got the link for everything. Gigi put out the video that Daniel Bryan got hurt during the recording of Rampage, where his foot was in between the stage and the ring, which is crazy because that's the first time I've ever seen that. You know what I'm saying? And I've always wondered, like, no one got caught in that. Well, Daniel Bryan got caught in that shit, so that's what happened. But yeah, man, major shit's happening in the wrestling world. We got 2 events happening. One on Friday with I'm having the fucking burps all of a fucking sudden. What's going on here? One on Friday in Jersey with the head honcho, Alex, who we interviewed last week, and then we got one on Sunday. Homeboy coming in today, Peter. He's the voice of a generation. And he's going to tell us about that event happening on Sunday. Jay Luther's going to headline that one. That's going to be dope. You saying with Sasha? With Sasha? With Sasha Banks? Yeah, man. Listen, man. I can't sit here and tell you, oh, it's bullshit that she left because they did this, and this for her. Because in all honesty, man, yes, she main evented WrestleMania. Yes, she was the first tag team champion. Yes, she's a 5-time Raw champion and a SmackDown champion. Whatever accolade she has, but you still have to have some kind of fucking respect for yourself. Like, Jericho left because he was the second match on WrestleMania. Do people forget that? He was supposed to be the main event at WrestleMania fighting Kevin Owens, and then Goldberg came in and won the title from Kevin Owens, and it turned out that Goldberg and Brock Lesnar are going to be the main event at WrestleMania. Then they were going to go on first, and then he looks on the thing, and he's the second match with Kevin Owens. He took that disrespectful. Yes, Jericho's a legend, but still, so is Sasha. In the women's division in wrestling, Sasha would be considered a legend because her and Bayley have done things that no other woman's ever done. They're trendsetters. They started, like, they're the first of their kinds to do things. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the WWE, in the mecca of wrestling. So you got to give this woman her respect. The same way you would have to give Bayley her respect and Charlotte her respect and all other stuff. Oh, here you go. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the show, man. How you doing, player?
How are you?
I'm chilling, man. We got Pete Rosado in the building. What's going on? We are wrestling. What's up, man?
Yes. Big weekend coming up, man. Big weekend. I am pumped.
Nice.
Weekend.
Yeah, man. Yo, I was telling the chat a little bit. You got an event on Sunday, right?
Yeah, and this is a jam-packed weekend for me. So I'll be in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey.
Okay.
On Sunday, We Are Wrestling. It's our 3rd show, One Step Closer, featuring the return to New Jersey of AEW superstar, former Jersey All-Pro legend. You could just run down the resume. The one, the only Jay Lethal coming back to New Jersey in the main event that night. But a jam-packed card. I mean, absolutely jam-packed, top to bottom. We tend to have this affinity of doing that. We've got Janai Kai and Tristan Todd. We've got big tag team match. Chris Barton and Dominic De Niro fight and die versus DePower, Yaya, and Rayhan. We just dropped a big hype video for that just a couple hours ago on the Instagram. If you go check it out, We Are Wrestling 1 at Instagram. But it's an absolutely jam-packed card. But Friday, tomorrow night, I'm actually in Ridgefield again. I'm in Ridgefield again for the big Invictus Presents TakeOver versus STP.
Yes.
So I'll be there tomorrow night as the one night only general manager and jumping on to do some commentary as well with the boys, Alphonse Stevens and Rob Williams of the Bob Culture Podcast. So jumping on with them. do some commentary for some of the matches. But putting the Law down as the general manager for that show tomorrow night, and then Sunday back in Ridgefield for We Are Wrestling's One Step Closer. So it's going to be a crazy weekend.
Oh, okay. So not only are you the voice of a generation, but you're the law of the night for the
This
one night.
is very
Okay.
true, yes.
Okay. How does it feel to have all that power, man?
You know, it's a lot of people can let it get to their heads, you know.
Yeah.
And as a young kid from the Bronx, we don't get that kind of power all the time, right? We don't get
I
the
know,
power.
bro. Bronx
We don't get the power to be bossing people around. We usually the ones getting bossed around, having to fight back.
Yep.
But we got two incredible teams in Takeover and Shane Taylor Promotions going to war on Friday night. I'm there to make sure everything goes down the way it's supposed to go down. I don't want to make this about me. It's never going to be about me. It's about these performers in the ring. And I'm just there to make sure no shenanigans happen, no craziness. We got enough craziness going on with the Bodega Street fight and a whole bunch of other things. So my job on Friday night is to keep that law and order and make sure nobody crosses that line. I'm usually a professional, nice and buttoned up. But if the Bronx got to come out of me on Friday, they going to see some what the BX is all about.
Nah, I feel you, bro. I feel you. BX native right here too, player. So I got
All day, put the
that's
X's
it,
up.
baby. All day, baby. Shit, yo, I knew I liked you. I knew I fucking liked you, man. I saw the energy in the other videos. I looked at you. I knew there was a reason we connected. You know, before we even met, I knew we connected somehow. But yeah, man, dude, I spoke to last week. We had Alex on the show, and he said that Bodega Street fight. He wanted to have the Bodega Cat there, and we had to have him like wrestling on the Wonder Bread. Yo,
yeah.
Just between me and you, did y'all make that happen, or is that like a surprise that people got to come in?
Listen, I can neither confirm nor deny
Okay.
the existence of said Bodega Cat at Invictus's Takeover versus STP. You will have to be there on Friday night to see if, in fact, we've got Mr. Rivera's cat resting on the Wonder Bread. But the worst thing about it is let's treat it like a regular bodega. I want people popping their head to oh, did you open?
Yeah.
That's a stupid question. You don't see me here working? Of course we open. You don't know. We close now.
For Jew, we close.
For Jew, we close. Everybody else, we open.
Yeah, what you want? Get the fuck out of my store. but yeah, man, yo, just a little rundown the rules. Here, we like to have fun. We curse. We rant. You know, it's well known I don't like John Cena. If there's someone you don't like, we'll talk about it. You know, everybody has their people.
John Cena?
What don't I have against John Cena? I hate his face. I hate the socks he wears. Fuck with you. Nah, man, you know.
I appreciate John Cena. I really do. Growing up in the era of Hogan, Warrior, Savage, all of that, Cena was kind of he was the next generation's Hogan. Feel what you want to feel about Hogan and his personal beliefs and things like that, and fuck Hulk Hogan, right? Let's just put that out there.
I got him right there.
Yeah,
Hogan's my guy, but yeah.
John Cena for that generation of time was their Hogan, which is why I think when you really think about it, the same people who hate John Cena were the same kids who grew up loving Hogan.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, you love that. You love that the Superman hero, that unbeatable force, that all the good guys always going to prevail. As kids, you love that. But as we get older, that cynicism kind of creeps in. And we start to look at it as like, you know what? I just want somebody to beat your ass. I want somebody to just take you out. Like, I'll be a bad guy, right? That's why all of us who were Hogan fans growing up loved when Hogan turned heel with the NWO, because that was all we ever wanted. Like, oh my God, Hogan went bad. Oh no. But it was so great because we were living vicariously through that guy. But it's funny when you look at the generation of wrestling fans.
Yeah.
The wrestling fans who loved Bruno and Pedro and all of them hated Hogan and Savage and Warrior. The kids loved Hogan, Savage, Warrior. Then we became the adults who hated the Cenas and the Romans and all that, forgetting that they are this generation's version of the Hogans and the Savages and all of that we grew up loving.
Yeah. You see, all right, Pro, first off, he's not making sense to me. about Cena. He's speaking the facts because, you know, when you look in the history books, it's true. They chose Cena, and Cena ran wild with it, and he is this generation's Hogan. You can't compare him to Flair because he didn't have that same style. He wasn't like Flair was the bad guy. John Cena pandered to children. Hogan pandered to children. You know, I personally don't like Cena because I felt like when he first came in, yeah, he was vanilla. He found himself doing the thugonomics stuff. You know, and yo, I was with him. I was with him in the thugonomics because it was something different. It was something entertaining. I always loved when Kurt Angle acted like a fool. And then when, you know, John Cena came out and made these people look like a fool, throwing the nuts at them and all that other stuff, like, you know, being that tough bad guy, it's like, all right, that's somebody we can relate to. And he's with Crime Time and all that shit. This is something fun. And then he instantly turned into the Marine. And like the character shift, not only did it shift his attitude, but it also shifted his wrestling style. And it got sloppy.
But let's be honest, though. Doctor of Thugonomics Cena isn't a multi-million-dollar Hollywood star, right? The Cena that we ended up getting, and see, this is what I loved about Rock.
No,
you look at Rock, you look at Cena, you look at kind of Roman now, you look at a lot of these guys. You know, it's not like it was in the 80s. Piper was a movie star because Piper was just fantastic. Yeah. Roddy just was in a league of his own. Hogan became a movie star because he had the look, he had the body, you know, he was kind of like that crossover, almost Arnold-esque character where he had that body, he could play into the comedy. But Cena, when you really look at Cena, he is his original gimmick. He is the prototype, right? He is the prototype for what you want the Hollywood star to look like, what you want the leading man to look like. He can be funny. He can be serious. He can be an action star. He can do it all, which is what's really great. And if they had wanted Cena to turn heel, I think Cena would have been a wildly successful heel.
You know, his never give up gimmick was marketable because listen, it was the biggest thing in wrestling back in those days. You know, he sold all the stuff. That's true. It is marketable, but in the ring, him wrestling, that wasn't.
He did what Hogan did. He did. Listen, I don't want to say it wasn't good. You know why? Because one of the things that I've learned in my 10 years being around and in the professional wrestling business, and just about any professional wrestler that's been around for a while will tell you this: less is more. Right?
I'm not talking about his moves.
Right. But even everything he did in the ring, when you look at when you really break down Cena's matches, the level of psychology that is in those matches, the level of just like next level thought process in those matches. Yeah, he had the moves. He had, the 5 moves of doom. But think about it. You know, when you really think about any star wrestler, can you really name more than 5 moves? And really, when you think about it, when they get to like that process of like, all right, they're going through their shit, right? They really kind of hit 3, 4, maybe 5 key moves, and that's it. Everything else is just basic wrestling moves kind of put together to make the match.
But all right, so yeah, everybody has 5 signature moves, but they don't have beat me up until I do these moves. You see, like the psychology you're talking about, I don't see it because I see him getting his ass kicked, and then I'm gonna pop up. I'm gonna go into the ring. My twin brother's gonna come out like he never was in this match, and I'm gonna do the 5 moves, and then I'm gonna win. You know, like if he was truly a good guy, he wouldn't have done half the shit he did. He is a heel pretending to be a good guy.
I mean, I see your point there, but I would say the same thing about like how many times have we seen, especially I think it was not this last title run, but the one run right before it, especially during like right before the pandemic era into the pandemic era, when Brock Lesnar was champion, and he'd be in like these 4-on-1s, 5-on-1s, 6-on-1 title matches. And everybody would destroy him. They would destroy him. They dump everything on him. Lesnar get carted out the arena. And then Lesnar comes back, destroys everybody, F5s everybody mama, and wins the title. You know, if you really think about when Cena did it, though, like it was the big Cena took a lot. Like when you think about how Cena told stories, is Cena took a lot. He gave a lot. But when it came time for the big match, when it came time for Cena to deliver, he did pull the Superman card out because he did what he needed to do. What I think is different is when you look at someone like a Hogan. Hogan didn't give a lot. Even in the little matches, Hogan did not give a lot. Hogan's not going to bump for anybody. Hogan's not going to really put anybody else over. He was like, I have to keep being on top all the time, whether it's Saturday Night Main Event, whether it's a house show in Topeka, Kansas, whether it's WrestleMania, whatever. I've got to look super duper strong. Cena, he gave a lot to the lead up to the big matches. He would take the beatings. He would take the bumps. He would put guys over. He'd make them look really, 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 really good. And then when it came time for the big win, yeah, Cena did his thing.
All right, we got a question in the chat from the pro show. He goes, what exactly is psychology? Because I've heard so many things about psychology, but nobody can pinpoint what it is. Psychology all sounds subjective.
So the psychology of the match, the storytelling of the match, right? How do things connect to each other? When you really think about the psychology of the match, storytelling of the match, for example, if you're a guy, and I'm going to take this way back to like real basic level psychology, right? If your finisher is the figure 4 leg lock, are you going to spend the entire match beating up on somebody's back? Are you going to spend the entire match beating up on somebody's shoulder? No, you're going to spend your match trying to take their legs out, trying to weaken their legs, trying to get them down on the mat. Every single time they're down, you're trying to go for that thing. There's that psychology there of like, listen, if the match starts and you throw the figure 4 on me, why would I tap out to the figure 4 in the beginning of the match where I'm completely fresh? But here we go. That psychology of like working the legs, working the legs, working the legs, working the legs. And then you throw the figure 4 on. The psychology around finishing maneuvers, right? In very much the old days, we protected finishing maneuvers. Nobody kicked out of a Jake Roberts DDT, right? When Jake Roberts hit the DDT, that was it. 1, 2, 3. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew when Jake hooked you, everybody popped, right? And when guys kind of got out of the hook, when he teased that DDT and guys kind of like got out of it, they played that up like, oh shit. Oh man, I just narrowly missed it. And that's the psychology of selling the devastation of that finisher. Yo, I know that if I get hit with the DDT, I'm done because nobody kicks out of it. And the crowd knows that, right? The crowd knows that. Getting that over, getting that finisher over. The crowd automatically knows when Jake hooks it, oh, that's it. This guy's not. But see, the beauty of that is that long-term storytelling, right? Because when Jake beats everybody, match after match after match, year after year after year, with that DDT, and someone kicks out for the first time, it's like, holy crap. You've just made that guy simply because he did what no one else in the history of ever has been able to do. And I think that recently happened. I can't remember. I believe it was on AEW. There was somebody who had their finisher had never been kicked out of. And I think at the last finish, the last pay-per-view, somebody finally kicked out of a finish that had never been kicked out of before, and they made a big deal out of it. I saw a pro show second questions. When things don't go as planned, there's also that old school psychology of being able to call the match in the ring. Ric Flair talks about this a lot. Ricky Steamboat, the old generation, talks about it a lot, where they'll go into the ring and they play to the crowd, right? Tracy Smothers, God rest his soul. Tracy Smothers used to have this great psychology where he would say, if he'd work somebody who wasn't really as seasoned or really that good, and they couldn't really do too much. Tracy's like, can you put your hands up? Can I do this? Can you back away? Right? Because in doing that, you're telling a story, right? I throw my hands up, you're here, you're backing away. Referee gets in between us, right? We're already telling that story, and you're kind of playing to the fans. Steamboat used to tell stories of, you want to play to the upper deck, right? You don't want to, you want to play to all the fans, but you want to play up there, right? You want to get it to them. And so there's a lot of facets to wrestling psychology, understanding match construction, understanding why things should happen, understanding, how a story is told, even those long-term stories. So there's a lot to it, which is why I can completely understand why Pro Show has kind of gotten a lot of different feedback on like what that actually means. It's kind of everything. It's all of it.
Yeah.
It really is all of it. That's the thing.
It's mostly just getting the fans hooked to the story. Like once you grasp them in, because listen, I wanted to run a scenario on you because we compare Hogan and Cena, right?
Right.
And a lot of people say that Cena has the 5 moves of doom. You mentioned that. Now, a basic psychology match or ending for Hogan would be like, let's say he's fighting Earthquake. Earthquake would get him down. He's all sweaty. And Earthquake, starts jumping around the ring. He's setting up for his move. He runs on the ropes. He does the Earthquake, the splash. The name of it escapes me right now, but he splashes on him. 1, 2, Hogan kicks out. And then he's on his knees. He's shaking.
Right.
The Earthquake is like, what the hell is going on? What's going on? He smacks him in the back. Hogan gets up even taller. And he starts shaking. He smacks him on the back. He walks around the ring. He's getting his adrenaline up. The fans are going crazy. Earthquake is like, what the fuck is happening? He finally hits him again, and Hogan's like, you, and everyone does the you with him. Because we know at this point, this man is the adrenaline's pumping. This is it. This is the guy. He hits him 3 times, throws him to the ropes, big boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3, match is over.
But
Now,
remember, and one of the things that was very key about Hogan, he didn't do the you until the crowd was at its loudest.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes it took 2 hits. Sometimes it took 3. Sometimes it took a little more. It never really took more than 4 hits, but it was sometimes one of those where it's like he waits so that crowd is right behind him, and then it's just like, you right, and it's like now that crowd's firmly behind him, and there. So to speak to what Pro Show just said about the Bucks, listen, first of all, let me put it straight out that I love Matt and Nick. I've met them on many occasions. I know them fairly well. Great dudes. Fantastic athletes, fantastic wrestlers. When you think about the pure definition of wrestling psychology, right? Does shit make sense, right? You see this a lot in modern day wrestling. Somebody will get hit with 6 super huge moves. And then all of a sudden, they kind of no-sell it, right? That kind of no-sell. It's like, oh, yeah, he just hit the cutter, and then he just hit this, and then he just hit that, and now this guy out of nowhere. Oh, big super kick. Oh, hitting the ropes. Oh, big clothesline. Oh, this, oh, that. It's just like Al Snow used to always say, if you were out in the streets in a fight with somebody kicked you in the face, you're just gonna stand there and like nothing's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect you. So it's like those things, kind of like those out of nowhere things by the Bucks. Like Randy with the out of nowhere RKO is really great with the way he does it. But it's like with the Young Bucks, it's like they just got beaten up for 25 straight moves. And then it's just like you turn around, big super kick. And now they're completely healed. Everything is great. They're going through their motions. And it's just like, how did you just take 25 straight moves and walk away without even being phased, right? And so there's that selling to it, that psychology of it. Like, yo, I just got hit. Like, don't get me wrong. If you just got hit 25 times, hit a super kick, and then you collapse, that's different. That's that psychology of like, yo, out of nowhere, just out of instinct, hits the super kick, boom, they're dead. Because now it's just like they just absorbed that punishment of 25 hits. They got one nice one in, but they're dead. And Bucks don't do that.
Neither does John Cena. that was leading to my next scenario. But yeah, I've noticed a lot of people don't do that. Like Moxley doesn't do that too well. Bryan Danielson doesn't do that too well. Like a lot of people that people say, oh, these are the best wrestlers. That's part of my gripe. It's like it doesn't really make sense when somebody just super kicked you and then he super kicks you back and then you super kick him. And like you're having a super kick party. It's like this used to knock people out. That move used to knock people out. It's like if you're having a DDT party, it's like, you know, that was one of the most devastating finishing moves back in the day. You just said no one kicks out of it. And now everybody's doing it. You know, it's cool for the moment, but it's not cool when everybody does it.
Right, and it's not cool when it's an every match thing. It has to have its place. It has to have its the right time, the right place, the right thing. You know, somebody like, okay. The Sting spot last night when they made the save for the Hardys. And Kyle O'Reilly goes and hits him with the chair, and Sting kind of just takes it and turns around, right? That's fine in the moment.
Yeah.
Right? That's great. It was funny, it was hilarious. But like all of a sudden, if you get hit with 4 chair shots, and then you just turn around and level everybody with clotheslines, it's like, right? It's just like that makes no sense. And that's the biggest thing I think with wrestling kind of psychology. I yell at the TV screen all the time. Make it make sense. And that's one thing WWE does very well. That a lot of people, I think, the truth is there are a lot more people that are into the style of the independents, into the style of what you see on an AEW a lot more times than they are into that, you know, more psychologically based style. Not to say that there's not fans on the independents that are into that and into the storytelling, but there are a lot more fans that want to see the cool shit, right? Than there are the fans who's just like, oh, that makes sense, and oh, that's why that happened, and that's why that happened, and that led to that, and boom, you know. To a lot of fans, that's very formulaic. It's very basic, and I understand that. And I think where the WWE falters is that they do too much of that too often, and it turns people off to it. Which is why I think a lot of people loved Black and Gold NXT, because you were like, okay, I can tolerate the formulaic stuff. I can get a little bit of this every now and again. That's freaking awesome. And that's the thing. I think the best wrestling needs a little bit of everything, right? You need to have your strong style, big guy matches. It's going to be a bunch of stiff strikes, and this is what it's going to be. Have your high flying kind of acrobatic matches. You know, you have your psychology matches, stuff like that. And you kind of need that. You need a little bit of everything.
No, yeah, for real. The NXT Black and Gold, I would going back to when Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black had their match at the Takeover.
Yes.
I don't know if you that match. You know, it was kind of like the paint by numbers that the WWE does, but it went to the storyline, because the storyline was Velveteen Dream wanted him to say his name, and it was kind of like he was getting the respect from more and more throughout the match, and you see it. And that's something that I gravitate to. But then also you watch Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson, and that's just a hard-hitting, fast-paced match.
Right. Like, imagine if Aleister hit somebody with the kick, and it's just they turn and no sell. It's like, that's that kind of lack of psychology. Where it's like, no, if you're gonna take that, you gotta go. Yes, best story that's been done in a long time. And there were so many small things that were there as a Punk fan from Ring of Honor. The little things that were done in that feud were fantastic. That was definitely one of the best stories I've seen in a long time on a television product.
Yeah, the fact that CM Punk came out and was like, "Are you bullshitting me, or is this real?" When that leads to the like, hold on, wait. Is this real? Like, did he just say something that CM Punk never heard? Like, you know, getting that pulling in is like, you know, being behind the curtain almost in that storyline. That, you know, that brings it in there.
Yeah.
But the problem on that pay-per-view with that matches, it almost felt like every match was the same, just had different people in it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
You know, because that match would have been a lot bigger and would have been spoken about a lot more if they didn't have similar matches throughout that night. Because
you're right. That's the thing. But there were so many little things as well. Like, there was a reference to Punk and Cena, right? When Punk told Cena during the lead up to the WWE title match where Punk won the title, where he told Cena that you're no longer the Boston Red Sox, you're the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And, I believe it was MJF that came out in like Yankee gear, Yankee trunks. You had Punk going back to his old Ring of Honor gear, to that old original Punk, coming out to his old Ring of Honor theme. Like he had to go back and get the old CM Punk for that night to do what he needed to do because he wasn't there anymore. And I really loved the way they told that story. And funny because for a long time when Punk first came back, I was not a fan of Old Man Punk.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of Old Man. I was like, Old Man Edge, Old Man Punk. I loved the way they were doing the Old Man Edge story because Edge was losing. Edge showed that, I'm rusty. I haven't done this in a while. I can still lose because I'm not where I need to be yet. And I felt like Punk very quickly getting win after win after win after win was just like, so he's been retired for X amount of years, has not been in a wrestling ring at all. It's not like he left TV and did the independents.
Yeah.
It's not like he was in MMA for the whole time and was successful. Legitimately, off the couch, back to wrestling, and all of a sudden you could beat everybody? Like, to me, I didn't like that, and I felt like Punk could lose a couple matches. But I also understood the situation that AEW was in, where it's just like, well, if we bring him in and then he starts losing, the fans are going to turn on us. So it was a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but that's where your psychology comes in. Because, like, Darby Allin was the hottest thing going when he wrestled CM Punk. And if Darby Allin can show CM Punk's just a little slower, he's just a little rusty, give something CM Punk to go, something I really need to work on. I thought I could just walk in here and kick all of your asses. I got to go back to the drawing board. And then, that storyline with MJF happens, and then he comes back as the old school CM Punk from Ring of Honor. It's like, he's going back. Like, he took it back to phase one. He's evolving from the phase one. He's going back to the drawing board. That would have resonated a lot better with the fans. I do agree with that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's what I think. You saw that with Edge's story, where Edge kind of came back. He was a step slow. He wasn't all the way there. He showed that. He was dominant, but he wasn't what he used to be. And he kind of had to find his way back to that. And then when he found his way back, he was like, oh, shit. Here you go. And then, he's able to continue his story. But, like I said, I understand the predicament that AEW was in, because if they had brought Punk in and he'd lost a couple of matches. Now, again, listen, it's different. CM Punk versus Shawn Dean, CM Punk versus one of your guys on Dark. CM Punk wasn't, CM Punk could beat those guys because it makes sense. The guys that are 0-94 on Dark. Okay, makes sense, right? Yeah. Even then, I would have booked that win where it's like, yo, Punk almost lost that, man. That guy almost got his first win. Punk, he's still good, but he's missing that gear. And I would have had Punk realizing that. And then I would have put Punk up against a relatively big name, but not somebody high up on the card. And I would have had Punk lose. And then it would have been like, oh, okay, so I can beat these guys, but I'm not here yet. And he's got to work to get there, then break through that. And now it's just like, okay, now you can win a couple matches back to back to back to back. And then you go into this feud. And I think that would have been a little bit better for the Punk story. But again, you know, you got all these like diehard CM Punk fans. CM Punk is God. He can do no wrong.
Yeah.
He starts losing, they're going to start booing your product. So I understand AEW was in a tough spot.
I hear you. Do you think that they made a mistake hiring all those people from the cuts from WWE?
No, I don't. WCW did it. WWE did it early back in the day. What's the first thing that WWE did? WWE, then the WWF was bringing in stars from the other territories. The only difference was there was no regional TV. There was regional TV. It wasn't national TV at the time.
Yeah.
Right. We saw it a lot in WCW. Right. At the end of the day, you're bringing in people that the mainstream fans do know about. WCW, which was the NWA, which was Jim Crockett Promotions, was a regional Southern territory. And yeah, their people knew Ric Flair. They knew Arn Anderson. They knew Sting. They knew all of them. But they may not know who the Macho Man Randy Savage is. They may not know who all these other people are. I mean, you know, at that time. But now you got national TV. And now you got that kid in New York who realizes Macho Man's not on WWF anymore. And oh, wait a minute. There's this other wrestling. Macho Man's on this other wrestling show. I'm going to tune in because I know who the Macho Man is. And the hope is that by getting you to tune in for Macho Man, they're hooking you with the other guys. They're hooking you with their guys, right? And that's the whole thing of it. Impact, TNA did it in the beginning as well. They brought in WWE guys because they wanted to make their company grow by getting people who never watched their regional television watch it because, oh, I know Christian Cage. Oh, I know Kurt Angle. I know Jeff Hardy. I know all those guys. So I'm going to go watch this company because I want to see Jeff Hardy. But you come for Jeff Hardy and you stay for AJ Styles.
Yeah.
You come for Kurt Angle, but you stay for Samoa Joe. You know, you stay for all of these people that we're trying to build our company around. And hopefully we can make you fall in love with them, even though you came to see Jeff Hardy. And so I don't fault AEW for doing what they've done. Did they do it at a pace that it's like the roster's kind of inflated? And so now you kind of have too many people with not enough spots? Yeah, because there's a couple of cats in AEW that they're doing exactly the same thing that they were doing in WWE. The difference is there's not as much of a backlash from the fans because the talent isn't exactly rabbling that they're unhappy, right? So that I think is the thing. I think there's a difference in how the talent feel in the environment that is in AEW, that even though they're doing close to nothing or the same thing they were doing in WWE, they feel better about their situation than they did in WWE. I can't really speak to it as much because I don't know what the backstage situation is, and I've never been employed by the WWE. I've never been employed by AEW, so I don't know what the differences or similarities are between those two companies and how they operate backstage. But it very well may be I'm happier here doing nothing than I was over there doing nothing. I do think one of the things that plays into that is the freedom for some of them to take independent dates, the lack of a touring schedule, the same as WWE's, where they're on the road 4 or 5 days a week. So I think there's some of that where they're like, listen, I'm making the same money, if not more, still sitting in catering, not doing much. But you know what? I'm home with my family 3 more days out the week than I was. And I'm doing indie bookings when I want, and I can still charge the price that I want to charge because I'm still on television. I still have a contract behind my name. So, you know, I don't fault AEW for doing it. I understand it, but the only thing I kind of ding them for is I'm like, he kind of just brought a lot of people in without any real plans for them.
Yeah.
And you always kind of have that shiny new toy syndrome. It's like, ooh, I got this guy. I'm going to go push this guy. And,
Yeah.
ooh, this guy. Now I got to go push that guy. Well, how are you going to push that guy and push that guy? One of them is going to have to kind of pull back a little bit. But what do? Now you're pushing 9 guys. When you bring in the 10th guy, who are you pulling back?
Yeah. And that's where they suffer from, because I don't know if you got the same feeling, but when AEW first started, I got like the nostalgia feeling. This is the era of wrestling I fell in love with. I'm starting to see that again. New guys coming out of nowhere. Like it's more about wrestling than the fucking storyline. Like it's like pure wrestling going on. And I don't need to see people get married on TV. I want to see the wrestling. And then you see these new guys and they gel well with each other. They're able to sell. They're putting on new things that I've never seen, because I'm not privy on independent circuit. You know what I'm saying? I'm mostly, if it's not on TV, I don't get to see it as much. You know what I'm saying? So when I grew up, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, you know what I'm saying, watching that wrestling, I fell in love with that. It just pure wrestling, like the 80s wrestling, where we got the story through the match. And that's where I got in the beginning of AEW. And I'm thinking with all these signings, it kind of changed their foundation of what they built AEW on. And it's starting to look a little bit more like WWE Light. And it doesn't help that they got all the WWE talent from those cuts there, Not saying that they're not good talent, because I do prefer seeing Keith Lee on AEW than that shit he was doing on Raw.
And I think it's based on what you want to see in the presentation of Keith Lee, right? I have no problem seeing Keith Lee on Raw. I had a problem with seeing the presentation that
the battle
was Keith Lee on Raw. I'd love to see Keith Lee on Raw, because, and it's not a knock against AEW. It definitely isn't what I'm about to say, but let's just be realistic. WWE Raw has a bigger fan base.
Yeah.
It has more people that know what it is. You can go up to somebody in the street and they're going to know what WWE Raw is probably before they're going to know what AEW Dynamite is if they're not a wrestling fan. There's more of a mainstream appeal, crossover appeal. And that's what I think is going to be very interesting. And that's what I'm interested to see what AEW does with certain people, right? Listen, at the end of the day, the WWE, and Vince McMahon has said this himself, we're not a wrestling company.
Yeah.
We're an entertainment company. We make movies. We just happen to do it using wrestling as the backdrop. And that's the thing. The WWE kind of molds you to be so much more. There's a reason why The Miz can be a movie star and MJF cannot right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you could say all the comparisons about MJF and The Miz. But if I go to a casting company right now and I say, hey, I've got these 2 guys, The Miz and MJF. Both of them would be perfect for this role. They're likely going to pick The Miz 10 times out of 10 because they're going to know who that is.
Yeah.
Simply because he's on WWE television. Simply because he's on commercials. Simply because he's doing stupid cricket commercials. But guess what? Stupid cricket commercials are going to lead to a USA show, and a USA reality show is going to lead to you doing movies, and you doing movies means, guess what? You don't have to do as much wrestling, right? You become an entity to the company beyond having to do wrestling, right? The Miz is a great wrestler. I love The Miz in the ring. He's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. But The Miz is so much more, right? That's the next step for AEW. And it really is a question of, can you take these stars and really push them beyond the limits of just being the wrestler, just being a sports entertainer, just being a professional athlete? Can you push them to mainstream success? Can you push them to crossover success? That's going to be the question. The call up is not wrong. There is a lot of talent out there in the world of independent wrestling that you don't need to go to WWE talent. But again, the argument is how many people, and I'll give you a good example. There's a gentleman that was on AEW Dark Elevation, which was taped last night, called the Mysterious Q. He is a Texas-based wrestler out of Booker T's Reality of Wrestling School, and he is actually one of the most decorated wrestlers in all of Texas. He'll be on my show this Sunday facing Mr. Darius Carter. Now, the Mysterious Q was on AEW Dark. And Dark Elevation. And while there may be the wrestling fan, the hardcore wrestling fan, who knows who the Mysterious Q is, if he turned up on Raw tomorrow night and they're not in Texas, 95% of those fans are not going to know who he is. And 95% of those fans are not tuning in and saying, I got to see the Mysterious Q on Monday Night Raw. And that's not to say that he doesn't belong on a show like Monday Night Raw or he shouldn't have that kind of an opportunity, because he should. He's a fantastic freaking talent. And if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, come out on Sunday to Ridgefield Park and find out just exactly how great of a talent he is. But when AEW says, we're going to bring in Keith Lee, everybody who was a fan of Keith Lee before he went to the WWE is now going to tune into AEW. And everybody who was watching WWE who actually did like Keith Lee, because there were, are going to be like, shit, let me go watch that. Again, the goal isn't come for Keith Lee, stay for Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Not the goal. The goal is come for Keith Lee, fall in love with Ricky Starks. Come for Swerve Strickland, fall in love with Powerhouse Hobbs. Come for Jeff Hardy, fall in love with Darby Allin. Come for Sting and fall in love with everybody else that we're trying to build up. The Dante Martins, the Ray Phoenixes, the Pentas, all of these guys that, yes, fans of independent wrestling and worldwide wrestling know them. But the mainstream wrestling fan who only knows WWE, who only watches Raw and SmackDown, and trust me, there are people who only watch Raw and SmackDown, don't even watch NXT.
Yeah.
Don't even watch NXT. They watch Raw and they watch SmackDown. Right? They want those people to tune in for the names that they know. Come to WCW to see Hulk Hogan, but stay and fall in love with Rey Mysterio, with Eddie Guerrero, with Dean Malenko, with Chris Jericho. That's what WCW did. That's what the WWE did back when they were the WWF. Come for these guys. Now, the WWF had an advantage, like I said earlier, there was not national television.
Yeah.
They could change the gimmicks. You could take Hogan, who wasn't doing the pure Hulk Hogan gimmick, and turn him into Hulk Hogan. You can take Ted DiBiase, who was having some of the most brutal matches in a cage with Hacksaw Jim Duggan in Mid-South Wrestling, and turn him into a billionaire asshole. You can take Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was this tough, take no prisoners, would bleed every match in Mid-South, and turn him into the patriotic Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho! The man made a living off of carrying a 2x4 and waving an American flag. That made him millions of dollars. Bleeding buckets of blood in Mid-South did not, right? Now, if this was 2022 and Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a #1 star in New Japan Pro Wrestling and came to the WWE and they changed the gimmick, they'd get crucified for it. They get crucified for it because, like, oh no, I want that. But that's because you've been exposed to that. You have the access to that. Remember that. There are people who don't have New Japan World. There are people who don't have Fight. There are people who don't have subscriptions to IWTV. There are people who don't have subscriptions to Title Match Wrestling. There are people who don't know what British Pro Wrestling is, what World of Sport is, all of this stuff. There's people who have never been to an independent wrestling show in the city and town and state they live in. They don't know that wrestling exists outside of Monday nights on USA and Friday nights on Fox. They don't. So if I'm a wrestling company, the same exact reason why an independent wrestling company like We Are Wrestling will go out and get Jay Lethal to come to my show. Because you know who Jay Lethal is. Because you've seen him in TNA, you've seen him on Ring of Honor, you've seen him on AEW. I want you to come in that door and pay for a ticket to see Jay Lethal. But I want you to fall in love with Mysterious Q, with the gifted one, Yaya, I want you to love to hate Mr. Darius Carter, the guys and the girls you're going to see in this area on a regular basis. Why? Because in 2 months, 3 months, when I run my next show and I don't have Jay Lethal, I still want you to come and buy a ticket because, yo, those other guys, those other girls, I want to see them again.
Yeah. No, and it's smart marketing. It makes perfect sense, yeah.
And that's what AEW's doing. Speaking
of your show, I noticed you have an intergender match.
We have 2 of them on this show.
I watched your podcast you did a couple of days ago, and someone referenced that was going to be a fight. One of your intergender, the Queen of Kicks or something.
Yes, Janai, the Kick Demon Janai Kai versus the Concrete Dragon Tristan Ty.
Now, just looking at the poster, that looks like it's going to be a knockdown, drag out match with the Kick Demon. How do you get a persona, the Kick Demon? Like, has she killed people?
Ask Janai Kai to kick you and see what happens.
I don't know. I seen her pictures. I might have the ass to kick me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Janai is a martial artist by trade. Before coming into professional wrestling, Janai Kai is a martial artist, and she has devastating kicks. And when that's what she became known for.
Bless you.
Sorry,
Bless you.
These allergies messing with me.
I hear you.
But that's what she became known for. She became known for her devastating kicks, her steal a line from that was used for RVD, those educated feet.
Yes.
And the Concrete Dragon Tristan Ty, who many people may have seen formerly on MLW as Ikuro Kwan. I've known Tristan for a long time. I knew when Tristan was coming up and training here in the New York City area. I remember when he was working the scene here in New York, trying to make it. I remember the day he signed with MLW. And, that kid is incredible. And it is MLW's loss that he is no longer on their roster and a member of their team. But he is going to go out on the independent scene and he is going to light it up. And this match against Janai Kai on Sunday is going to be just that. Both of them are going to go to the back, beaten, bruised, and battered. But only one of them can win that match.
Yeah. Do you think intergender matches are going to be a thing on mainstream wrestling, or is that something that's just going to be
on WWE television? No, I could see it happening on AEW, but I can never see it happening on WWE TV. I understand the reasonings why, the PG rating, the sponsors, all that other stuff. I get that, right? But at the end of the day, I don't look at it as intergender because, I think at the end of the day, listen, there is not a baseball player on this planet that wasn't scared or wouldn't have been scared to step into the box against Jenny Finch. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Jenny Finch was an incredible women's softball pitcher. And there's not a man on this planet who played professional baseball who would not have been shitting in his pants to step in against the box against Jenny Finch. There would not be a man on this planet who's played professional basketball who would like to have to guard Tamika Catchings or Cheryl Swoops or Lisa Leslie, right? The women are just as talented, just as athletic, just as strong, just as good. And to limit women to only fighting women is degrading in a way, because you're limiting the art that they can paint. Professional wrestling is an art. It really is. It's performance art at its finest. And if you were an artist that used paint, and all of a sudden I said, hey, you can't use green, you can't use purple, you can't use yellow, it's going to limit the kind of art that you can create. Now, great artists are going to be great artists regardless. But there's always going to be that, oh man, imagine that. Imagine if they could have used yellow.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. I love when we have, I love having women's matches, women against women. I love having straight up men versus men. But there's a dynamic to putting a male and a female in there, to putting a non-gender conforming, non-binary trans individual into the ring against a man, woman, or non-binary, non-gender conforming trans individual. It doesn't matter. It's an art form, and the person who has the better art on that day is going to win.
It's true, yeah. I've seen like Liv Morgan and Sasha Banks on the Instagram wrestling in the gym with a guy, and they're doing these incredible moves, and you don't see it showcased on Raw. And it's like, is it because they're with other women that maybe not be strong enough like a guy would be able to, you know what I'm saying, or like,
no, go ahead.
No, because like I see Sasha and Liv like jumping off the top rope, and then like they're landing on the dude and doing like the head scissors takedowns and all that. Like I can't see them doing that to like an Eva Marie. I think like Eva would like crumble if they try to do that to him. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, you also have to be very, you're not going to put, for example, and it's somebody, Nicole mentioned them earlier. You're not going to put Make Ito in there against the Big Show.
No, yeah.
Right.
There's got to be some kind of reasonable.
Right. It's why, listen, while it was great and it told a great story and I loved it when Rey Mysterio beat the Big Show, it's hard to really sit there and say, really? Like that just it's hard for it to make sense. And so I think when you're gonna do intergender wrestling, when you're gonna do things like that, you have to understand how those dynamics are going to work in the ring. And don't get me wrong. There are women out there like Savannah Evans, like Kylan King, like Max the Impaler, like Heidi Howitzer. Like there's a lot, and I'm missing a whole bunch that can go in there. And on Sunday night on my show, Trish Adora will step into the ring against O'Shea Edwards, right? There are women who you can put into those, what you could call precarious situations where it's just like, holy shit, this one's going to be interesting. And it works. But if I threw Alexa Bliss in there with Dan Moff, it's like, okay, he's gonna kill her, right?
Yeah.
And again, you could make it work. Don't get me wrong, you could make it work, and great wrestlers are going to make it work. But it's a lot harder to suspend that disbelief.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. What's going on, Gigi? You're muted. She always fights with the stream. It's fucking Steve. We used to have this thing called OBS Ninja because I would run off OBS instead of a restream, and there was always a message like Steve ran it for some reason, and you get kicked off. and it was fucking Steve's fault. So every time she has technical difficulties like this, we blame fucking Steve. So-
Goddamn Steve.
Yeah, fucking Steve.
All right, I'm
man.
not on mute, but y'all hold on for
Wait.
1 second. My earbud just like it
Okay.
went all up in my ear.
Okay.
Like this is the end of my earbud. This is what it's supposed to look like. And it's like legit stuck in my ear right now. I can't hear a fucking thing because I don't have my headphones on. I'll put the good one on. Put the good one on. All right, I hear you, but now I can hear you just this great.
All right, cool. Handle your business because you know the dickhead's here now. So give us 1 second, Pete, because this guy likes to make an entrance, and you know.
It's always when I fucking come on.
Yeah,
what
it
is
is.
it lately? For the last 3 weeks, it's been that. I got it out. But
Yeah, he waits. He waits for you. It's in his fucking contract, this asshole. I don't know.
At
how
this
he
point,
slipped it
I
in there.
think it is.
Yeah, I don't know how he slipped it in there, but he has to have his fucking entrance. So you know what? Let's
Whatever. Bye.
Yeah, you know, over to you, Tony Schiavone.
This fucking schmuck right here.
Shut up and put some respect on the man's name, the visionary,
If we didn't get copyrighted before,
the sole survivor for Monday Night Raw, Seth freaking Rollins.
you look more like James freaking Brown.
Oh shit, my titties are out. Go security.
Yo, Gigi scarred enough with your skin, man.
Wait a minute. Oh, we got a guest? Wait what you looking at my chest for?
It's hard
Because
not
you
to
got
see
the
that.
glow.
You tell me, man.
You got out here. You got the glow. Who the master?
Again, how you know sure enough?
Who the
I don't
master?
know about him.
Show don't even know show up.
Kiss my
Come on.
con first.
Yeah, come on, show you got to answer the man when he goes. Who's the master? You say show enough.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I did it. You got
And I got Bruce Leroy up on my wall. You're muted, Gigi.
Oh shit.
God damn it! It's
There
all
you go.
your fucking fault. Wait, do you like fucking wait until I show up and then like 2-3 seconds later, here comes your bitch ass with whatever fucking gimmick you want to put in for the week? Like this is so far 3 weeks in a row, bro.
Gigi, this is our thing. This is our thing. You come in with the J-Mo, I come in with the hair and the fur.
I mean, I do got the JMO. I mean, but still, for the last 3 fucking weeks, every time I come up, oh, hey, Gigi, oh, but we need to stop.
My
Because the motherfucking guy decides to show up to the podcast this
But
week.
you gotta fix your mic. I saved
You know what? Excuse me. Hi, Pete. How you doing?
Hello. Real quick though, I want to point out that incredible Funko Pop cabinet you got behind you. Because as a fellow addict, I mean collector, it is great to see. I'm staring at my Batman collection right in front of me. Though I should be staring at the storage room that I have full of them at some point. And I think I saw Shonuff earlier. I walked past a laundromat in Harlem. I think I saw him come out the laundromat in Harlem with that same wig on earlier.
Yeah, yo, believe it or not, he bought that hair himself.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
He ain't grow it, but he definitely bought it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Got him.
But yeah, so this is Shonuff. You know, Gigi Lay. He's not feeling well, so he's not gonna make it on tonight. But this is the crew. This is the knuckleheads right here, Pete.
It's a fucking bunch of knuckleheads. I love it. Knucklehead, one of the greatest words growing up when you were a late 80s, early 90s baby.
Hell yeah.
I'm a mid to late 80s baby. So, you know, when you knew somebody loved you when they called you a fucking knucklehead.
That's right. That's right.
That's what it was. And I know I shouted out Gigi's Funko cabinet, but big ups to that Yankee Stadium portrait.
I know.
On Shonuff's wall. Yankee fan to the day that I die. I bleed blue. Funny story. I didn't go to college in Boston because I'm that much of a Yankee fan.
Nice.
I got
I'm fucking weak. This man says education, Yankees. Education, Yankees.
Fuck Boston.
Wait. That's part. Education won't get me to the World Series. Fuck Boston. Let's go Yankees.
Right. Gene all the way.
But what it is I'm a Yankee, I'm a bomb, I'm BX to the core. So I knew I would arrive in Boston being the one asshole wearing a Yankee hat, a Yankee jersey, and I had a pair of Nike Yankee Air Force Ones. And I was I would be the one to step off the Amtrak train in Boston, decked out in Yankee gear. And I'd have been dead a week later. But
I was about to say, my man, you looking for to get a death wish out there? You would have been outnumbered for sure.
It'd have took that blade out his mouth and somebody got cut.
Word. I'd have been the first one walking the Yorkie way, like, hey, I want to park my car in Harvard Yard. How the fuck you doing, huh?
Oh man. Yo, this shirt is hot.
Yeah, I don't know why you put a wolf on your fucking
word. It's like you understand what's the temperature outside, right?
I stapled this to my shirt. I did be Steph Rowley.
I have one question for you, Show. Why did you buy Hunky Talk Man's shirt, James Brown's wig, and then a fucking chinchilla for your neck?
Nah, that's not James Brown's shirt. I think I know where he got that from. I think that's Will Ferrell's satin robe from Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, it could be. All you need is nunchucks.
Oh, out here yelling, Ma, the meatloaf.
You want some meatloaf?
Get us some meatloaf. Yeah, let's eat some meatloaf.
Oh man.
So real quick, Pimp Boy BK. I am from the Bronx. BX all day, South Bronx, born and bred. Repping them Savage Skulls, even though I've never been in the gang in my life, but that's where I'm from. South Bronx all day, home of Bambaataa, the home of hip hop. Tell it like it is.
Home of
born and raised. Born in Queens, but I was there for a cup of coffee. Lived my whole life in the Bronx. Lived my whole life in the Bronx. The call up. I know they asked the question a little bit earlier. I am always open to booking talent from the West Coast. It really has to just work logistically. Them flights are expensive as hell. But I am definitely open. I am open to booking talent from everywhere. We've had talent, obviously on this show, the last show, we've had talent from Texas. We had Brian Keith on our last show, Mysterious Q on this show. So definitely open to bringing in talent from just about anywhere. Yo, rest in peace, Big Pun. I love you.
Word.
I love you, brother. Much love to his wife and his son. Missed him every day.
Word. Greatest rapper I've ever heard.
Even though Big Pun's wife is going around talking mad shit about him.
Yeah, I mean,
you know that? No, legit. So it's a legit story. She literally goes around schools in New York City, especially in the Bronx and in Manhattan, and she basically is trying to do like an inspirational story, but she shits on Pun so many times because of how he abused her.
Yeah.
So I don't give no love to her. I'll give love to the son because he's trying to make it into the music industry, and he's dope. He really is. I heard a couple of tracks, but no, the moms, she can kick rocks. It's okay.
Yeah, she been like
the wife, she can kick rocks. It's okay.
Yeah, she been like that for a long time because she was the same person when it was. Listen, and Pun was no saint. I knew him. My mother knew him. No saint by any means. But when it was good, she loved him to death. But when it was bad, it was bad. And I don't hate on her for speaking the truth and what was her truth, but the way that she does it, I don't necessarily agree with.
And I think that's what bothers me the most is that what you say is how you say it.
Yeah. No,
so that I think that's my problem. Is not what she says, is how she says it, and that's just not just hers. That's just people in general. Like people have a certain way with words, and it's like you talk to me like that one more time, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. Like, oh, but this is how I talk. Yeah, no, you need to change that tone, the
Yeah.
verbiage. It's-
Word. There's some people that be like polite, just don't know how to say it. Like, good morning. Fuck you mean good morning. Say that shit to me again. I swear to God, smack fire out your ass.
Bro,
You're
like, what's so fucking good about it, huh?
Yeah.
What's so good about it? What's so good about it? Morning.
Morning.
There's no good in it.
Word.
Good
Yo,
morning.
Bro, fuck you, mama. Whatever.
Yo, I'm telling you, before she retired, there was a woman that opened up my office door, and I swear to God, she opened it up like a racist. I don't know how you can open up a door like a racist, because I just see the door moving, but I swear to God, the door moves, and I'm like, there's a racist behind that door, and it's always her. It's always her. I don't know how it happens, but people don't know how to open up doors anymore. You know? But yeah, man. What were we talking about before we was rudely interrupted by show?
The
intergender
independent
matches, right?
wrestling. Yeah, intergender matches.
Yes.
And if you would bring a West Coast wrestler, which I think I believe you answered.
Yes.
Forgive me, I'm just choking right now. I the one smoke went down the wrong pipe. Woo, good Lord. That felt great. All right.
What?
Yo, Gigi, you promoted the match with her and Thick and Juicy, right? Thick and Juicy?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, toe hit him with the hey, yo.
Oh, shit, I got it. All right, I got you right now. Give me a second. Don't no one move. Show I see you fucking moving, man. Don't fucking move, bro. Don't fucking move. You moving.
No, hey, yo.
Why you did the no? Why did the hey, yo? He does that. He picks and chooses
because he doesn't listen.
Yo, Gigi one time was opening up her heart to us, and all you heard was the nope. And it crushed Gigi. Gigi never came back almost after that. Like we had the.
I legit turned off and I walked away, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And it was about Sasha Banks and Bailey's NXT match in Brooklyn.
Yep. And she's.
I just laid my heart out there. I mean, it's women's wrestling, and it was a phenomenal match. And then this asshole here, with the fucking roadkill that he got around his neck.
Word, yo, show.
Fuck your life.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Shit. That shit's funny.
Yeah, but Harris wants to know what you thought about John Morrison's debut, Gigi.
Johnny Elite. I'll take it. In all honesty, I mean, and I believe this goes on a lot of people's mind. I think a lot of people were thinking Cesaro, right? Because it's up. Everybody's talking about how he's the cameraman supposedly in AEW, which I don't see that actually being legit. But I enjoyed it. We got Johnny Elite. We got a new Johnny something. Okay, we had Johnny Nitro. Okay, John Morrison. Okay, Johnny World, Johnny Mundo. And now we got
Game Changer when he did GCW.
Oh, that's right, Johnny Game Changer. And now we got Johnny
Lucha when he went back down to AAA.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that because he did go back with Taya.
Yep. What?
So it's like everywhere he goes, he's taking the name somehow, some way. We're gonna go and be luchadores. I'm Johnny Lucha. That's it.
That's it.
And on the other show, I'll be Johnny Mundo, and I'm part of the world. Fuck it, we'll do it in English too. That was the most dumbest shit. That was Johnny World, bro. Stop.
He got his own traveling gimmick, you know?
Yeah, my man has more faces than Mick Foley. Now that's something.
Yeah, that is something there.
Oh shit. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I knew he was gonna job. I didn't see him really winning, but it was still a fun match to watch. And that's what I really appreciate overall. That it was a fun match to watch. And when this Japanese girl came back for Britt Baker, I fucking lost it. I was like, yes! It's the yeah bitch. I remember her. Like, she's just energetic, looking like a little fucking Japanese Harlequin.
I was actually very underwhelmed by Maki being the
Joker.
by Maki being the Joker. It was kind of just a little like, okay.
It wasn't a big pop. I get it. I popped because I like her. I think it is why, and I like to see her style. As for a pop, in all honesty, I would have gone with Athena, because that's a big name out there. I would have gone with Mia Yim, but I know Mia's with Impact.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, it's not like they can't do cross promotions, but I know right now that relationship is not there. Who is the other chick that I had in mind?
Now, honestly, somebody that I thought would have really been really cool, simply because, and I think the reason why Maki didn't pop me is because it's been a while since I've seen Maki Ito. It's been a while since you've heard her name on AEW television. It's like she was nowhere and then like, boom, right? So I think that was I honestly thought she was a plant. Like, she was going to come out. It wasn't really going to be her. It was going to be somebody else. But I think what would have been interesting is bringing Deanna back. Deanna back, do Deanna and Britt, which I know Deanna's been wanting. Britt has wanted that. I think that would have been a really good match, especially if they want to do any further business with Deanna. I don't know. But I don't know. I was underwhelmed by Maki just because I feel like, okay. And I don't know if maybe plans changed. Maybe Maki would not have been the choice had Shida not been injured. So maybe they wanted to make sure they had some Joshi representation in the tournament. I don't know.
And then you have to think about that new partnership that they have with New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right.
So you got to put like one of their peoples in there in a kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of like you said, even the playing field of having one of their people.
Yeah.
How would you guys have felt if Mercedes Martinez was the Joker?
Britt Baker going.
And she already is in a different story. She's in her own different path. I would have been more confused if she would have been the Joker and not just automatically in the bracket itself.
Yeah.
She kind of has a little thing with Britt Baker. You know, when Thunder Rosa was going, she used her as an enforcer and then basically turned on her when the dude from Cobra Kai was there.
Yeah.
You know, there's something there you can exploit.
And anybody who knows me will tell you I am extremely biased towards Mercedes Martinez. Or as I call her, Mama Mercedes. She's been such a great inspiration and a great resource to me growing in this business for the last couple of years. Not only have we worked together, but I'm a huge fan. I was a huge fan of hers before I ever got to work with her, and then getting to work with her and getting to know her beyond just Mercedes Martinez, the performer and wrestler, has been one of the foremost experiences of my life. So I'm extremely biased. Mercedes versus the world, and Mercedes wins.
Yeah. I like Mercedes. I was happy that she was the unified ROH Women's Champion on AEW. I enjoyed that.
Yes.
The pro show goes, I thought the point of the Joker is to debut new talent.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what it is. If it's not new talent, it reintroduced talent. Like when Matt Sydal was a Joker, even though he completely flopped that fucking top rope. That shit was funny as shit. But it's to bring new talent and I guess reintroduce us to the talent that what they once were in like WWE. Because for a while, it was just not to say for a while, when it comes to like knowing who that wrestler is based on TV, the only thing that we had for a long time was just WWE until TNA came along. And then, then we're getting introduced to obviously other wrestling promotions, but the mainstream one will always be the E.
Yeah.
So when you see someone like Moxley, Bryan Danielson. You know, it's like, oh, it's that guy from there. But it's not just those big names. It's other names like Sean Spears coming from there. You know, there's also like you have Chris Jericho, but Jericho's on a different level.
Yeah, he's his own brand.
So yeah. He's there to help promote the product, if anything. You know, like Pete said earlier, hey, you love Jericho, right? You come here to see you Jericho, but we want you to start loving this guy, like pushing Darby Allin. Like the Stings, you love Sting, you're gonna love Darby Allin. You know, you love Eddie Kingston, you're gonna love this dirty side of Santana and Ortiz, maybe. You know, it's just certain things like that where, like he said, you buy the ticket for a big name, but you actually stay for everybody else.
No, yeah, serious, yeah. That's
and Jericho was Jericho, and it's, you know, I know a lot of wrestling people are gonna be like, oh my god, that's a pretty big comparison there, right? But Jericho to AEW was what Hogan was to WCW.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Big name,
absolutely,
anchor name that everybody knew. Like, okay, I'm gonna go see that guy.
And you never thought you would see him somewhere else,
right?
Oh, and to top it off, let's have an excellent theme song where everybody is participating. Everybody, not only in the arena but at home, is participating.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, when we went to Arthur Stadium, one of the points I had to go there was to sing the song in the stadium with the 20,000 other people. I'm not gonna.
You have to do it once. You have
to.
If you go into an AEW event and Chris Jericho's coming out to this song, it's an oxymoron. Like you gonna have to sing the song with the rest of them, whether you like it or not. I'm like, I hate the song. What if I become? Fuck, you got me again.
Yeah. But yeah, to Pro Show's question or statement is like, I think that the Joker or a mystery opponent is multifaceted. So you can either introduce a new guy that's coming, you can bring back someone who was injured, or you can expand on a storyline that may have not been that obvious. Like Mercedes Martinez going in there could be her starting a feud with Britt Baker, so Britt Baker can get that Ring of Honor title or a shot at the Ring of Honor just to show it on TV. Because, like I said, they did have that little aspect of a story there. And now Mercedes Martinez is like, look, you know, I'm way more than this bodyguard shit that you're trying to pull. And Britt Baker's always going to try to sun someone. She's always going to be like, yo, the women's division in AEW, no matter who the champion is, ain't shit without Britt Baker. You know, so you have that dynamic. It's like, you know, I used you and you failed, you ain't shit. And Mercedes is like, no, I'm the best wrestler we got here. Now I'm going to fuck you up. You know, it's a way to, you know, start that storyline real quick, you know, without having to do explanations, because boom, mystery opponent, here it goes. It looks like management is screwing you over because you're talking shit. Now we got somebody kick your ass, and she got beef with you. You know what I'm saying? So that Joker could be used a lot of ways. It's just AEW conditioned us to believe when they say Joker, it's a brand new signing with somebody. You know, they say Joker, it's Adam Cole, baby. You know what I'm saying?
It's Ruby Soho.
Yeah, that's how Ruby Soho came in and all. Kenneth Stone showing up looking A1. That's not showing up, Kenneth. That's James Brown. We got him in live and in living color, baby.
My man Kofi Weedstein.
That's right, man.
Hey.
Kofi Weedstein. Big shout outs, big shout out to supporters of We Are Wrestling since day one, the Dirty Heels podcast. I will always be very, very indebted to them and everything they've ever done in supporting me and We Are Wrestling. You know, between Bove and Kofi, like they've been there from day one, and they're the type of dudes that, you know, what I really love about them. They're the type of dudes when We Are Wrestling started, I didn't have to go to them, right? I didn't have to go to them. They hit me up and they're like, "Yo, what can we do? What can we do to help you? What can we do to be a part of this?" And that always meant something to me. You know, I've been seeing this meme a lot lately. You know, the whole, like, everybody will watch you when you're wrestling on a big stage, but remember who watched you when you was wrestling on the little stage. And I've always lived my life like that. Like, you always make sure you remember those who helped you when you weren't nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, Dirty Heels podcast have always been those kinds of dudes.
Yeah, they always
yeah.
show love and support. Definitely. Shout out to them boys.
Word.
Yeah.
Cool cats, definitely cool cats. Yo, show you wouldn't shut up this whole time. You got something else to say before you know?
Yo, I do apologize. I'm preparing something.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
shut up. Then shut up and do your All right, yo, real quick. I want
talkative. Sorry.
Nah, yeah. You're too. No one can get a word in with you. We got a special guest, and no one can get a word in with your ass here. You know what I'm saying? Like, my bad. I apologize. Yo, you're gonna have to mute yourself, Show. We hear that. Show, we hear that. You
hear all
muted your
that.
mic. You muted your mic, but we can hear your computer.
My apologies.
You see? You see this? You see what I gotta put up with, Pete? You see what I gotta put up with? Amateurs. I wanted the one goal I wanted our guests to leave with is them going, you know, the knuckleheads are really professional guys. They're really professional guys that, you know, they take everything serious and, you know, no screw ups. I really like being on their show because they're completely professional. And you walk in here with your sweaty ass James Brown wig that you had for 16 years, a fake fox on your neck, a shirt that's too goddamn small. Too much hair meat for Gigi. I see Gigi like right now just looking at it like, holy shit. She's gonna have nightmares.
Leave
for,
it
like,
on.
10 years.
Leave it on, nigga. Leave it on.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, button it up. Button it up, bro. Nah.
He's gotten naked on the show before.
Yeah, he did. And he threw himself on the floor so fucking good that he ended up injuring himself.
Yeah, he elbow dropped the concrete.
And that
floor.
wasn't a work. It wasn't a work.
You're muted.
I disappeared immediately. My ring.
Oh shit.
I should have never did that.
Oh man.
But yo, big news throughout the week is Sasha Banks and Naomi, you know, walking out. I don't know the 100% story, but as a promoter, like, what would be your side of this story? Like, do you know like exactly what's happening, or do you just know a little bit here and there?
Yeah, listen, I know as much as is out there, and to be honest with you, you know, I believe 10% of what's out there, right? Because the dirt sheets, they listen, unless you're there, unless you're backstage, unless you know what's happening, you're just speculating at some point. Listen, I support anybody who stands up for what they believe in and stand by with their virtues and their ethics. But I also understand the idea of you have a job to do, right? You know what your job entails. You know it isn't always going to be something you enjoy doing. Look, in real life, I'm a teacher, right? That's my shoot job. I'm an educator. I don't always enjoy the things that I necessarily am told I have to do by my bosses, by my principals, by the people who are above me. I don't always agree with the decisions. I don't always like them, but it becomes a decision of, is it too much where I can't do this anymore? And then, you know, like, all right, there's a professional way to do things. Again, I wasn't there. Don't know what happened. Don't know the conversations that did or didn't take place, the things that were or were not said to what people were not involved and things like that. But if Sasha and Naomi felt like they were in any way disrespected and they weren't being listened to, I respect their walking out, but they have to understand at the end of the day, there are going to be consequences. There are going to be consequences. You are under a contract. If I walk out of my school building and I tell my principal, no, I don't want to do this. If I walk in the next day and he says, you're fired, you don't work here anymore, that's the consequence I have to pay. You know, there's consequences to every action, right? You have the freedom to say and do whatever you want in this world, but there is no freedom of consequence. So again, I respect Sasha and Naomi making the decision that they feel was the best decision for them. But at the same time, whatever consequences come out of this, they're going to have to deal with them.
That's true, yeah. That's a lot of I talk about this generation is missing. There's not any consequences or very little consequences for these people's actions. That's why these kids nowadays are acting stupid and doing crazy shit.
It's very true.
Yeah, but a lot of it, from what I seen, was the lack of respect for the women's tag team championship.
So what was let's kind of cover what we all read more or less. They walked into John Laurinaitis' office. They put the belts on the table. They said that they're not getting respected for the women's tag team, that they're just belt holders. They were going to give Naomi the win over, I think, Nikki Ash. Dike, they don't work well with two people. So this is like more or less what it's in the whole content. What's in between the lines, we don't know. And then the other speculation, is this a work? Because WWE put out a statement.
Yeah.
So is this a work to kind of like, shape up a women's division or the women's division for at least a tag team, like a legit, like they had something going on at first, but then they started putting everybody in a tag team. They got back into that old routine. They were actually making legit tag teams. Natalya and Tamina made sense to me.
Yeah.
And as many fucking times we've all seen Natalya in a tag match, and we all seen Tamina in a tag match, to have them two actually team up together and be heels. Tamina's a great heel, and she was actually adding so much to Natalya's fucking bitchiness. Because all we see is the fucking total divas. She's a cat lover, and she's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Because that's what we, kind of see in a way. Because she's very proper in a certain way. Where the other girls are like, were they going to let loose? I digress. You had them. You had the Iconics, as goofy as they were. They bounced back off of each other so lovely. They complimented each other. Promos, it was great. Wrestling matches, they had some moves. I just feel like they were getting a push, but they weren't put with the right people. And when you're not put with the right opponents, there's no. It's work as opposed to just straight having a chemistry.
Yeah.
Certain women in a tag. Listen, put Ronda and fucking Shayna Baszler in a tag. I fucking believe that.
Yeah, our fucking best friend. They're their version of the Four Horsewomen.
Right?
Yeah, that in MMA.
Sasha and Bailey.
The
Great. Sasha and Bailey. Probably the greatest for the women's division. And Naomi was a little still awkward, a little bit off the mic. But with just being with Sasha, you can tell she's going to improve more.
Yeah.
So
it'd be like a Jim Danville, Neidhart, Bret Hart thing.
But with everybody else, putting Nikki Ash with Rhea Ripley, now you're putting her with, I don't even fucking know now, Doudrop, right? She's in there somewhere. Yep.
She's with Nikki Ash.
Doudrop needs to be in the singles match. Nikki Ash, she's a jobber at this point. I'd rather see crazy sanity Nikki Cross than this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was a bit of an edge besides having Rhea Ripley.
But that's one of those instances where they had something going with Nikki Ash. Like, they had her evolving. She was women's champion. She was main event. She teamed up with Rhea Ripley, and we saw her potentially turning into a heel. And we was excited for that because now she could wear the black suit. There's so much in our imagination's running wild. And then they said, fuck out of here. Go sit in the back in catering. And then they pull her back out with the 24/7 championship, and it's like, yo, wait,
so
what just happened?
Not for nothing, where they really fucked up at, in all honesty, was not allowing Nikki Cross to kind of join Alexa Bliss while joining the Fiend. Like, be my friend.
Yeah.
And then have those two women, because they worked well with each other. I feel like it could be believable because we've seen a dark side of Nikki Cross. She can cross over again. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put the blunt down. But yeah, no, it would have been cool to see, because now we're seeing this quite crazy ass dark side of Alexa Bliss, and to have Nikki bring back this sanity type of fiend-like character, I think as a stable, it would have been amazing.
Yeah, I always had the gut feeling that they were gonna go with the storyline. Alexa Bliss is with the Fiend, but for some reason Alexa Bliss is mind controlling Nikki Ash, and that's why she turned into the superhero. And it was almost like Alexa Bliss is the reasoning behind Nikki Ash turning to this shit. And then when she gets to a bad guy, it's like now she's getting more corrupted by Alexa Bliss, and you can transition from the Fiend and Alexa Bliss to now Alexa Bliss and Nikki Ash. You could wipe the whole Fiend out of there, and now she's controlling Nikki Ash, and she has almost a control over her, and it's almost like she is the play toy instead of for the doll that they have. You know what I'm saying? I think that would have been an awesome dynamic to go with.
Nikki Cross would have been renamed as Lily.
That would have been something. That would have been a story that we would have been probably talking about for years.
Yeah, I've been saying that stuff that sound logical. They really don't like that. Yeah, I've been saying that for 300 episodes. Anything that sounds
correction. There's no logic in WWE wrestling. Yeah. We can't hold everybody else accountable for this shit.
Hey, we all wrestling got all the logic we need, you know.
Hey, there we go.
I try.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. What are your thoughts on the WWE's version of women wrestling?
I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I think there are a lot of talented women, and they have an incredible women's roster from top to bottom, regardless of who you see on TV all the time or not. Natalya is great. Tamita's great. Obviously, we all know the top. You know, we all know the Charlottes, the Sashas, the Biancas, the Rondas, all that. But you know, only a company like WWE could take a Ronda Rousey, who was a worldwide known athlete, but essentially a niche athlete in MMA.
Yeah.
And bring her into the world of wrestling and turn her and reinvent the baddest woman on the planet. Shayna Baszler's fantastic. I've been watching Shayna Baszler since she was wrestling for Shimmer back in the day.
Wow. I saw a few of her matches on Shimmer. It was dope.
Yeah, her Nicole Savoy and Mercedes Martinez, right, were a trio out in Shimmer back in the day. Nicole Savoy just recently said she was retiring from the world of wrestling. But, you know, they have a very talented division. They have an incredibly talented crop of women in NXT. As much as I'm not a big fan of NXT 2.0, they have an incredible crop of women down there who, when they get ready to break through the main roster, are going to be great. I think the problem with the WWE's women division is very similar to the problem that I have with its men's division. It's very top-heavy focused. There's a focus on specific people and only those specific people. I've said this for years. One of the things I loved about older wrestling, older WWF, even older WWE, was that it felt like you had 7, 8, 9 different people doing something, right? Mm-hmm. They were all legitimately involved in something. Everybody was kind of moving. Everybody was doing something. I legitimately could see, you know, I've said this like going back to the Hogan days. You could legitimately see Roddy Piper getting a title shot, DiBiase getting a title shot, Savage, Warrior, King Kong Bundy, Earthquake, Mr. Perfect, boom, boom, boom. You had all these different players who, while they were not going to win the title, you could put in that position and it seemed legitimate. And they belonged. For that moment, mm-hmm. They actually belonged. And I feel like that's the thing. You know, I'm not going to sit here and put money on Doudrop to beat a Charlotte Flair. I'm not going to sit here and put money on Natalya to beat, Bianca Belair at a pay-per-view for a title. I'm not putting money that Tamina is going to go out there and beat Becky Lynch. It's not going to happen. And I wish that did happen every once in a while. Go out there and let Tamina go out there and show that I'm not on TV all the time, but I'm still as good as you. I just don't have the same position. I just don't have the same opportunities. I don't have a shot, right? Make everybody seem legitimate. And I think that's been my biggest problem because I look at someone like a Natalya. I look at someone like a Dana Brooke, like a Tamina, like a Doudrop, like a Nikki Ash. All of them extremely talented women. Are they all the mega stars? No, I'll be 100% honest. But are they all good enough to be taken legitimately as a top-level talent? I believe they can be. They don't necessarily have to carry the title. They don't necessarily have to be a champion. But make me believe they could be. And that's all I ask when it comes to that division because you have so much talent there. It blows my mind that Shayna Baszler has not been a singles champion on the main roster.
Agreed. Agreed. And not for nothing, we even speak about like women like Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan to me is the female version of this generation of the 1-2-3 kid. That's who she should be because of her size and whatever. Just like, quick, like something to go with. Because I feel like her wrestling ability should be a little bit shined out more. But she's so small, you have to have somebody that's going to be not so massive, I would say, to kind of like big enough where it's like, oh, she ain't going to beat me, and then she actually gets the win.
Yeah.
Something unexpected, I think I would also like just kind of like want in this division. Everything right now is so fucking predictable. I'm not surprised anymore. The Royal Rumble, just fuck it. Done.
Oh, I called that Ronda Rousey was winning the Royal Rumble before she even came out.
No, but not even that. Let's just just as the surprise factor. Let's just throw that out there. Surprise factor. There's nothing out there. There's no surprise anymore. There's nothing. Everything is too predictable, and it's like everybody has to be in their place. Nothing is really being adjusted just for fuck's sake.
I wasn't surprised at Asuka.
I was excited to see her back because I needed Asuka back and I needed Alexa Bliss back because I'm missing Bayley and I miss Lacey Evans as a wrestler, but that shit that pissed me off. I overcame all my obstacles every week.
Yeah.
My daddy was never there for me.
What?
But you know what? I survived. I stayed strong.
My daddy.
It's such a contrast between her and the lady that she had back in the day. Like,
only for us to hear that the script is going to flip because now she's going on the other fucking brand to be a heel. So what the fuck did we waste our time for all these goddamn weeks?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love Lacey Evans as the wrestler, but that shit pissed me off.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Walter has a question. He goes, do you think Sasha Banks and Vince McMahon's relationship is damaged now because this would be the second time they had a falling out?
No. Not if Bret Hart made it back.
I feel like with Vince, it gets damaged for the moment, but he's an old man who has a soft heart. It's just, he always says nobody's bigger than the brand. That's his thing.
He knows money. You make money for me?
I think it depends on the information we don't know. Like, how did this actually go down backstage?
Yeah.
What was... First of all, the fact that Sasha Banks and Naomi were not immediately fired is a good thing, right? That kind of goes to show, like, all right, this is not something where... Because I feel like if Vince had been offended, had Vince been told off, something like that, I feel like Vince, like you said, Gigi, nobody bigger than the company. All right, we're gonna make an example out of this, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, you know, I think there is some, there is a level of how do we get past this if there is a legitimate issue, what the legitimate issue is, and if it comes down to, hey, I want to be featured more, well, are you going to be able to accept that? Maybe you're not going to be, because one of the things you got to know, a lot of people, and I've been talking about this with a couple of friends, you know, Sasha, while she may be the women's tag team champion, she isn't exactly, you know, flavor of the month anymore, right? When Sasha came up, it was Sasha, it was Charlotte, it was Paige. Bayley and Becky came up, but Bayley and Becky still had some work to do. They weren't over like Charlotte and Sasha and Paige. But what ended up happening? Sasha kept getting injured. Bayley blew up. Becky blew up. Asuka came to the main roster, started doing her thing. And while Sasha would come back every now and again, and she's had some great runs, her program at Bianca Belair was fantastic. The things that she's done, she's a fantastic athlete and a fantastic wrestler. But you've got Ronda, you've got Rhea, you still got Charlotte, you've got Asuka, Becky. When Bayley comes back, you've got Liv, who they look like they're trying to build. You've got all these people now. Where does Sasha Banks fit in? You've got Bianca, right? Where does Sasha fit in? And does she fit in at the same slot that she used to fit in? And is that something that she, maybe to her, she should fit in here, but the company has her here. This is where we need you. And, you know, is that something that bothers Sasha? I don't know. I don't know how Sasha, you know, what goes on in Sasha's head, what's going on in the company, like I said, but there's a variety of things. Sometimes, and Paul Heyman spoke about this years ago, sometimes where you want to be and where the company needs you to be. He spoke about this when he left ECW, when he sold ECW and took the job at WWE. He was told that he was coming in to work creative, work backstage, work as a writer. Then a couple of weeks after that, Jerry the King Lawler got fired. And Vince calls him and says, hey, I need you to do commentary. And he says, like, I had told Vince when I came in, I don't want to be on screen. I'm done being on screen. I don't want to do this anymore. And Vince called him and said, hey, this is what we need from you right now. Paul Heyman could have said no, but Paul Heyman didn't. He went and did commentary, and the story went on. Sometimes what the company needs from you and what you want for yourself are two different things. And is there a middle ground that you can meet at? If not, how do you deal with that?
I feel
like Lawler left because that was a whole incident with his wife at the time, which was Miss Kitty, Miss Cat. That's when she showed her titties to the world. She's
Thank you,
like,
Cat.
Word,
hey,
but I didn't really appreciate too much of Mae Young showing her titties right after that.
No, let's not try to remember that it's Miss Kitty. Yeah, Cat. Them titties out.
Do you think that the gripe that Sasha has is more of the respect or the placement of the women's tag team titles than where she stands on the roster? Because I'm getting the from what I'm hearing, I'm getting the feeling that it's like me and Bayley petitioned for these titles so fucking hard, and we got them, and you guys are disrespecting them every chance you get. And now I'm the tag team champion again with Naomi, the first African American women's tag team champions, and you're doing jack shit with us.
You're putting us in an 8-man tag team, in an 8-man women's tag team match. You're putting us in single matches. You're putting us in a whole bunch of shit that doesn't mean shit to our division as a tag team.
Who are you going to put her against, though?
That's
Tamina
the problem.
And Natalia?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Let's
we got champions, but we don't have teams. We don't have legit teams, like tag teams. You can put anybody in a tag team, but it takes a team. All right, like a real shit. Like do some fucking FTR type shit. All right, we need that type of tag team for women's division.
Yeah, you have a useless title. Let's just be honest.
I agree.
Yeah,
the women's tag team championships were a title that did not need to exist. I understood the desire. I get it. But you're already talking about a company that didn't value tag team wrestling in the men's division.
This is true.
Yeah. You split that division up only to unify it.
Tag team wrestling in the women's division. I get that it gave more women television time. It gave them something else to fight for. There's a logic to it. But it was a useless title that I felt like was a novelty when it was introduced. It's even more of a novelty now. And it's just, I'm honestly surprised they haven't retired it already. Because it's just like, what purpose does it really serve? It doesn't serve a purpose. You don't have a tag team division. You don't have legitimate tag teams. You're using it as a way to position your female wrestlers who you don't have single storylines for. But then you're not even really willing to build tag team storylines for them. You just kind of want to do what you're
doing. They're more willing of building a video package that we seen 5 minutes ago of what happened 10 minutes ago that happened earlier on in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
We waste this much time. And then just recently, I'm sure you guys noticed, now not only are we not going back to the individual who already went on commercial break when coming into the ring, we're shooting a video package before that, and now a promo from somebody that does not segue into what we were fucking doing.
Yeah.
And then have the audacity to play the theme song, and they're just still there like, like I've been here this whole time doing this. No, we're wasting so much time on recapping the recap. How do you recap the recap? That don't make no fucking sense. When that whole time
we already saw
you could have fit in like at least another solid match. Keep the show going. But they have so many people they need to fucking throw money to just for them to have the show on. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Yo, you imagine they used the logic from now back in the days? You imagine Demolition Man, we're gonna put you in an 8-man tag. I mean single. You're gonna pin him, then you're gonna go fight a single. Like I couldn't imagine these great tag teams separating to do like we were always together, bro. No matter, it could have been 8 tag teams.
Yeah, because back in the day, the tag team division was a separate entity. Like when the Warrior and Macho Man teamed up to take on the Nasty Boys showed you why they were the tag team champions.
Mm-hmm.
Because individually, Macho Man and the Warrior should beat up the Nasty Boys because, you know, they're the top guys. But when you face a real tag team, it's different here. This tag team division is a different game. It's a separate entity from what you guys are doing. And they showed that. Here, it's like Randy Orton teams up with anybody. He'll beat up every tag team there is. Like the Usos are one of the greatest tag teams that in existence, and Randy Orton's fucking up both of them.
Don't you dare disrespect Randy Orton.
Oh, Paul. Yo, dude, I'll disrespect him all day. I'll give him props. He could have been the best wrestler to have ever lived. But he fucked that up for me. He
does give up sometimes.
He fucked that up for me.
He does put in half-ass sometimes. I agree.
Yeah, man. The fact that he didn't help no one out when he was the challenger for the champions. It pisses me off, man. There was a question earlier in the show from my brother Victor, and he goes, "It seems like this is a resurgence in wrestling. Does it seem like something is missing to you because there's something missing to him?"
I think there's a lack of there's a lack of variety. I think that's the one thing I do like about AEW is they just have so much variety. But like it's weird because there's two different extremes. There's not enough variety in the WWE, too much variety in AEW. I'm also an old school fan and an old school way of thinking. I like long, drawn out stories. So I like the MJF CM Punk feud. I like the Jericho feud that he did very early on. I really liked a lot of these feuds because they were those long form stories. I like that. But I think one of the things that's missing is that emotional attachment, right? There's no desire. I think there's very few things that we have an emotional attachment to. We all love Roman right now because he's just the hottest thing out there. But am I emotionally attached to Roman Reigns going into a match? I was emotionally attached to Jay when they did the Jay Roman story. Yeah. And that was really cool because that's what's missing for me. Like that. When they did the Cody's promo that first night back on Raw. I want to care about somebody getting into the ring. I'll throw it back to you. The night that Santino Marella almost won the Elimination Chamber, I was just like, this is going to be the greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
Right? The night he almost won the Royal Rumble, I was just like, this is fantastic. Those are the things that I personally think are missing. I mentioned something earlier, the multiple building up of multiple people. Being able to I'll give you another reference. 2002 Royal Rumble. You remember who returned at the 2002 Royal Rumble? Kurt Hennig.
Cena.
Yes, I remember Kurt Hennig returning, yes.
Kurt Hennig came back into the Royal Rumble, and Kurt Hennig was one of the final four. He came in at 23.
Yep.
And he was one of the final four. And I'll be damned if you didn't think Kurt Hennig could have legitimately won it all that year.
Oh, yeah.
And that, to me, is what's missing, right? Because we talk about this predictability, right? And Gigi brought it up. I'd like to see some unpredictable shit, right? I'd like to see, a Dewdrop make it to the final two of a Royal Rumble. I'd like to see, these different things happen. Again, I also get it from the WWE's perspective. They have to do different things based on, what they're trying. Again, they're an entertainment company. Is Natalya going to be the person that you're going to have on Good Morning America the day after WrestleMania because she won the women's championship? Is she the one going to be doing the red carpets, doing all the media interviews? I get it. There's a different responsibility when you're the champ in the WWE, whether the women's champion or the men's champion. So I get it, but I freaking would love some unpredictability. That's what's missing.
Let me ask you this question, because I've always had this question. Someone like Santino Marella or Kevin Owens, you give them anything and they make it work. And then someone like Damian Priest is struggling to find something to do. Like, he's struggling to make anything work in the WWE, in my opinion. Is it because Santino Marella and Kevin Owens are 100% in on their character? Or is it they just have that charisma to pull things off and Damian Priest doesn't?
First of all, Damian Priest has charisma out the ass. Priest is great. I think it's a matter of finding something that works for you and really kind of getting into that gimmick. When we talk about unpredictability, I'll take you back to Monday Night Raw, the U.S. title open challenge, the night that Kevin Owens debuted.
Yeah.
And he walked out with the NXT championship, and, he beats Cena. And it's like, what? Like, what just happened? Those are the moments that are missing. And now talking about a guy like Kevin Owens, I think Kevin Owens does struggle with some things. I really do. Santino, I think, struggled with certain things, but he found his way. You know, a lot of it is when you talk about, take it back to Dusty. Dusty could have easily failed in the WWF with the polka dots.
Yeah.
And Dusty said, baby, I'm going to turn this into $1 million every day. Don't worry. I'm going to do the best thing I can. I'm going to have the best polka dots ever, baby. Don't worry, Vince. I'm going to make you money.
He sounds just like him.
And he bought in. He bought into it. But then contrast that with Terry Taylor. One of the greatest purely gifted wrestlers.
The Red
Great
Rooster.
wrestler. They gave the man the Red Rooster, and he was just like, he couldn't get over the fact that it was what it was.
Yeah.
And it flopped. You know, there's so many different things that could have, I mean, No Way Jose got over but flopped, right?
Same thing with Adam Rose.
Things that could work. But it all depends on, can you make it work? And even if you don't think you can make it work, can you add enough of yourself to sell it and make it work?
Do you think that's missing the willingness to go all in on a certain character? Because, you know, back in the day, we had a guy wearing a Bulls hat, but he was all in. He was trying to be the Minotaur, you know? We had a Doink and a Dink, and they're 100% all in on that. We had a dentist, you know, and a convict and an alligator wrangler, and those guys.
Wait, Akon was in the WWE?
Yes, for a brief moment, but they locked him up, and he never got out.
Right.
Yeah, but like, do you think it's that, like, these guys are like, you know what? I'm lucky enough to be in the WWE. I want to be here. You want me to be a hockey player? Fuck it, I'll be a hockey player.
There was a different era, and you notice like that was a very, even that era. Like when we're talking about the Isaac Yankees, when we're talking about the Goon, when we're talking about, you know, the Portuguese man o' war, Aldo Montoya, right?
Yeah.
When we're talking about Max Moon, Bastion Booger, the Mantar, like, these things didn't work because the world was different. Right? The world was different. Dusty, polka dots or no polka dots, worked. The Warrior worked. The Macho King worked. It was a different time and a different era. Does Surfer Sting work in the mid-90s? In the early 2000s? I don't think he gets over, right? Crow Sting got over, right? There's these different things. The tide changed in professional wrestling. And I think WWE was a little late to the party, which is why you had a company like WCW was able to gain a little bit of ground. ECW, there was a sense of reality. When you watched ECW, the Dudleys were a gimmick, but it was real. Know why? Because every single one of us, no matter where you're from, you know a guy that's been around the block and has 7 different kids from 7 different women.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So the whole story of all of the Dudleys looking different and being different and talking different, it all made sense because it was based in reality. You know, but it was a gimmick.
Dudley.
It was a gimmick in the purest sense, but it worked because the gimmick lived in reality, right? There is no reality for Bastion Booger. There's no reality for Mantar. It doesn't work, especially in the 90s. In the 80s, maybe even in the 70s, that could have worked. Would have gotten over, right? But it didn't in that time, and you had to get that realism. The NWO in and of itself was a gimmick, but it got over because it was so steeped in reality. So DX, the same
so gang,
thing.
yeah,
Steeped in reality. You know, when you think about the last surviving gimmicks in the WWF or the WWE, the gang warfare storyline. You know, everybody knew a motorcycle gang in the Disciples of Apocalypse. Yeah. Everybody knew a bunch of Puerto Rican gang members in Los Boricuas. Yeah. And everybody understood the whole Nation of Islam kind of vibes that you got from the Nation of Domination.
Yep.
Right? So gimmicks, yes. But look at how Farouk's gimmick never changed. How he steeped it in reality changed. Because he went from Farouk Assad wearing the Roman gladiator's helmet and the blue body armor.
Yo, wild. With Sonny.
Right. To becoming Farouk. The name stood the same. The person didn't change. They didn't repackage him, but he steeped that same character in a reality-based story that made sense. Right? And that's what makes it different. You get a guy like KO. KO is based in reality. It's why Sami Zayn works, but El Generico wouldn't.
Mark.
And I love, I'm not saying they're the same person. They look a lot alike, but they're not the same person. Right?
No. It's like when he puts on the mask, he's a different wrestler. He is El Generico. He's not Sami Zayn. And it's different. And you're like, you get excited for shit like this. It's like, I'm with it.
Yeah. And there's a place for gimmicks. There really is. There's literally an entire fed in Japan called DDT Pro that's all gimmicks. Right? That's literally all that it is. And the gimmicks work, but you gotta have, again, you just have to have a sense of realism in the gimmick, or else it falls flat. You're not gonna have a wrestling dentist in the year 2022. It doesn't make sense.
Well, we got Britt Baker.
Hey. Yeah, but
she's the realest dentist you can have wrestling though.
Oh man!
But it's not like she comes out and
anyway.
Yeah,
like the dentist isn't part of. The dentist isn't as overtly part of her gimmick.
Yeah,
as Eisen Yankum.
Yeah, that's just an accomplishment.
I'm sorry. I just have to say this. Even now, as an adult, going to the dentist, anytime I see tools, the first thing I do think about is Eisen Yankum, and I'm always terrified. Like, oh, if this motherfucker walks through here with busted ass teeth, I'ma die. They better give me that good shit.
Yo,
I digress. Continue.
Based on what you said, do you think The Undertaker would have worked in 2022? Since people are so harsh nowadays, like, oh, this dead guy.
So The Undertaker in his original gimmick would not have gotten over in 2022. The reason why The Undertaker was able to revert back to some semblance of his original gimmick is because he earned that reputation. Think about how The Undertaker changed his gimmick for so many years, right? He went from being the brimmed hat, the mortician, the purple gloves, the pale face, didn't really talk, didn't really say anything other than rest in peace, to becoming the American badass, which I think is really what gave him that ability, because now he steeped him in reality. I'm still going to take your soul, but this is how we doing it, right?
Yeah.
And then he was able to take parts of the reality-based gimmick, parts of the Undertaker gimmick, and bring them together into this beautiful reality-based character where it's still a character, but it's now, you have that sense of mysticism, you have that sense of reality at the same time. Because the same way we believe that a magician can disappear from the stage and end up on the second floor balcony like that, is the same way we can believe that the gong could hit, the lights can go off and come back on, and he's gone.
He's there. Yeah.
and he's there or he's gone, right? There's that sense of mysticism, but also that sense of reality that was needed. And I think had he not evolved his character as he did, it would have, the Undertaker would have died, going into the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's at any point in time in wrestling, do you think that there's a specific wrestler that could have made almost any gimmick work in any time?
I definitely think there are some guys who can make just about any gimmick work. I'm trying to think off the top of my head some guys that probably could have done it.
Any gimmick, any Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, any.
Yeah, like one of those where because sometimes the gimmick faults the guy. It's like there's nothing that you can do as a hot dog. It's not gonna get over. But there's some people.
Hold up, hot dog is over.
No, I know that's one of my most viewed shorts. I was a hot dog and I ran, but
no, there's a wrestler named Hot Dog.
Wait a minute,
real?
Yeah,
bruh, what?
There's a wrestler named Hot Dog.
We gotta look
boy
him up.
Hot Dog, and then he also is the Bundertaker.
I think that's why he got over.
Got him, the Bundertaker.
I like that one. That's a good one. I like
and
that
he was actually in a tag team, one of my favorite tag teams on the Indies for a while. Where he was in a tag team with Cheeseburger.
What was the name of their tag team?
I think I know what it was, but I want to make sure that I don't misquote it. I think it was, it was exactly what I think it was. It was Meat on a Mission.
Oh my
Meat on a Mission. I like that one, yo. Yeah, I can see how that got over.
Yep.
I can see how that got over.
Cheeseburger, now known as the world famous CB, who is the head trainer and creator of the Worldwide Dojo wrestling facility. If you've seen Cheeseburger on Ring of Honor television back in the day. But yeah, they were a tag team. Hot Dog, who I've known for many, many years. Actually, a gimmick that Hot Dog initially had when he first started wrestling, lo and behold, Show Enough.
Oh shit!
Very nice.
You still in everybody's fucking gimmick.
Yeah, no, man.
Before he found himself as Hot Dog, he actually wrestled. He wrestled under the Show Enough gimmick as kind of like a Show Enough character. Then a couple of years later, he kind of found what he wanted to do, and he became a hot dog, and he was Hot Dog, and he's the hot dog man from Hot Dog Land. And then somebody had this crazy idea to team him up with Cheeseburger, and they became Meat on a Mission, and it was hilarious. It actually was hilarious.
What's the outfit?
Cheeseburger used to wear like yellow, black, green kind of like attire. Hot Dog comes out in a hot dog suit.
Okay, perfect. I was wondering.
Yeah, he comes out in a hot dog suit.
Nice.
I could only imagine him trying to wrestle.
So that goes to the thing. It's like they gave 120% to those gimmicks, and they made that shit work. You got to make it work somehow.
Let me see if I can find him for y'all real quick. There we go. Yep, there he is. My boy, Hot Dog.
I like how you cut the arms out.
Nice. Hot Dog with everything on it.
Tag team, Meat on a Mission, Hot Dog and Cheeseburger.
You don't look like the colors. I see what you mean.
Yep.
Colors look like a Big Mac.
That's dope.
Harris, I think Kama the Fighting Machine would actually work in today's wrestling world. I think you kind of throw like an MMA cage fighting kind of Kimbo Slice-ish gimmick to it. Definitely think that could work. Papa Shango, I'm very interested to see how they were going to evolve that character, because Godfather did talk about that on the Broken Skull session, where they were talking about leaning more into a horror element with Papa Shango when he returned. So I really would have been interested to see how they did that. The Papa Shango character would be tougher, not impossible. I think of the two, though, in today's world, if you lean into MMA, kind of go the Kimbo Slice route, I think that would work. The Dan Severn, Kimbo Slice, Shamrock kind of route. I think a the Fighting Machine would definitely work. Oh, man, the Moondogs. You're bringing me back. Anthony, I love the Moondogs. The Moondogs would have had to have their gimmicks changed. I think they would have had to evolve. Don't think that would work today. I think some of it could work, but not all of it.
I don't remember them. Okay. Yeah. I didn't remember their names, but yeah.
What would you keep and what would you not from them?
I think you could keep basically the kind of like the trailer park-ish vibes, them coming out with the whole like, the effed up blue jeans, the long scraggly hair, kind of stuff like that. Kind of almost Wyatt-ish, where like they look like they're just two dudes who live in the
country
woods.
Swamp.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Country Swamp.
Yeah, but I don't think the whole like them coming around chewing on bones and coming. I don't think you want to lean into the cannibal gimmick.
Yeah.
But I think if you lean into the whole like backwoods kind of like we fight for fun kind of thing, I think that could be something that could work.
I can see like the Godwins, pretty much.
Yeah, just a more serious version of the Godwins. I miss Naked Midian. That was one of the most fun things of wrestling, just the Naked Midian.
Who are some people that you grew up watching that inspired you to be where you're at now?
So from a wrestling perspective, I was a huge, obviously grew up watching WWF initially. That's what I was watching. Was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan, huge Macho Man fan. Huge fan, though I was terrified at the time. Huge fan of like Jake the Snake. Loved Mr. Perfect. From a tag team perspective, I've always been a huge fan of Demolition. And then kind of went into like that Rockers and Hart Foundation kind of vibe for me. Really loved the Hart Foundation. Was a huge Bret Hart guy for a long, long time. I was a Bret over Shawn guy for a very, very long time. But my biggest wrestling from the wrestler perspective, biggest inspiration was Arn Anderson.
Okay.
I loved Arn. I was a huge Four Horsemen fan when I finally learned what the Horsemen were, learned about WCW, and then started watching old NWA tapes that my grandfather had. Fell in love with the Four Horsemen. Fell in love with Arn Anderson. Obviously loved Rick. Rick was the greatest. But there was something about Arn Anderson that
the enforcer.
I loved the guy. He could talk. He looked like your uncle who, if he got up off the couch, could whip your ass.
And he got that Glock on him. Remember that? He got that Glock on him all the time.
Arn could get in the ring. Arn could cut some of the greatest promos you're ever going to see. And then in the ring, he would just go with the best of them. But I was hugely inspired by Bobby the Brain Heenan, by Tony Schiavone, by Mike Tenay.
I love Tony.
Even to a degree, guys like, a Lord Alfred Hayes, a Vince when he was on commentary. Like that was just, to me, that was great. So I would watch it sometimes just for the commentary because I loved that dynamic. And I figured if I didn't get into wrestling, commentary was where I wanted to be. And as the generations changed, I really loved Joey Styles at ECW. Loved Paul Heyman on commentary. And then obviously as I start watching a lot of the old stuff, you know, watching and listening to Gordon Soley, listening to a lot of the older, listening to Gary Hart as a manager.
Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan, just both of them just going back and forth with each other. It was just, there was something there that you just could not stop watching.
Yeah. And, you know, when I realized that I was going to get into commentary, once I realized that the wrestling side of it wasn't for me, you know, those are the guys that I tried to emulate. And it was, okay, how do I find my own style while also giving credence to them? Because, you know, those were the voices that shaped my voice. And, you know, I could say the closest thing that I get when I'm doing commentary, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing play-by-play, very much like a Mauro Ranallo, very much like an old school Tony Schiavone or Mike Tenay, and that I can call the action as it's going. But when I get to color commentary, that's when it's just like, I'm gonna let my inner Bobby Heenan, I'm gonna let my inner my inner Heyman out, and I have fun with it. My Joey Styles out. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, favorite wrestler I would have to say of all time, Arn Anderson. Favorite non-wrestler is honestly a tie between Bobby the Brain Heenan and Paul Heyman.
Yeah, those guys are almost parallel to each other. But how would you define the difference between color commentary and play-by-play?
So I come from a sports background. When I was in college, I went to college to do sports radio broadcasting, ended up not doing that, ended up becoming an educator and a teacher. But that's what my passion was. That's what I wanted to study. And I came from a sports background of football, baseball, basketball, commentary. When I think of the difference in wrestling, play-by-play is telling the story. Play-by-play is telling what's happening in the ring. Now, for everyone, play-by-play is different. For me, the way that I approach play-by-play is if you were listening to this on the radio and you closed your eyes, if what I'm saying can give you a visual image of what you should be seeing, that's good play-by-play to me. Color is the analysis. It's the whys, the whats, the hows. You know, that's what that is. They add that analysis. They add that expertise. The play-by-play pushes the story, pushes the narrative, tells you what is happening. The color commentator tells you the why, the how, and then gives you a little bit of character work as well.
Okay, because I've always like I like commentating, right? So I never got into it like as a professional, but I liked it. But I've always tried to ponder, like, if I was to do it with somebody else, how would we define who would be the play-by-play and who would be the color commentator? You know, so that's a good explanation of how that works. There, you made it very simple to understand.
And again, everybody has their own style. Like I know Alphonse Stevens, who does commentary with me at We Are Wrestling and is also commentator at a couple of other companies here in the tri-state area. He has a very old school feel to his play-by-play, which is really great, because when I'm doing commentary with Alphonse, I can lean more into my color commentary. I feel like a lot of people are better at the color commentary than they are at play-by-play. I think good play-by-play is hard. Color commentary is a lot easier because there's a lot more character. You can be a lot more carefree. You can kind of just tell what's happening. When you have a play-by-play person, to truly be able to tell the story and push the narrative is harder to do.
Yeah.
I agree.
Show, you want us to show them the video that you put up here?
Yeah. It's a little video so that people can get to know our host.
All right. You want me to full screen it?
Yeah, you can full screen it.
All right. Let's
I'm
take a
pretty
look
sure
at
he'll recognize it.
All right. You ain't gonna embarrass me, show. Right?
It's gonna be me, butt naked.
All right.
Like Ravish the Rick Rude. I'll need you to sit down.
All right, good. As long as it's nothing boring. All right, I can deal with that. Gigi, you gotta have to close
I'm
your
out.
eyes.
Tonight, we witness the inception of this fine promotion and its visionary creator. My mother is the reason why I became a wrestling fan. My mother is the reason why I watch wrestling every week. And so this entire company, every one of these talented individuals are here tonight, thanks to her. And tonight, we are going to give you the best show you've ever seen in this building. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go!
Yeah, that like I said, he would recognize that video. It's from his gram, and
That's a dope video.
I wanted to get something. I always try to get something to actually display the guest a little. So there you go. But I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. I was trying to cut it up, take it from your Instagram, send it to the left from my computer to my phone. So I'm usually a little more animated. My apologies.
No, it's fine. And that video always makes me tear up a bit.
Shout out to your mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for real,
my mom passed away 9 days before our first show.
Sorry to hear that.
ago, correct?
Our first show was on August 13th, 2021. My mom passed away tragically out of nowhere on August the 4th. And I almost canceled that first show. And I'm glad I didn't. I said it that night, and I say it all the time. What we do with this company is dedicated to her memory, and it will always be dedicated to her. This show on Sunday, One Step Closer, will actually be, it's very special for me. It's 1 week before what would have been her 55th birthday. My mom's birthday would have been on May 29th. So the show is a 1 week away. And it's named after one of her favorite songs by one of her favorite bands. So initially, I knew I wanted to name it after something that my mom really loved because it was so close to her birthday. And so I went, all right, my mom's favorite artist in the entire history of the world was Madonna. We're going to go with a Madonna song. And then I said, yeah, that's not going to work. I can't find a Madonna song that works.
Well, we are wrestling like a virgin.
Right.
Human Nature would have been good. Okay, I'm just saying. All right, that's a badass song. All right, but
and then
I digress.
And then I said, all right, my mother's next favorite musical act of all time, probably as equally as beloved by her as Madonna was Metallica. Who I grew up on. The first album I ever owned was Metallica's Black Album. I know that album from front to back. And I was like, ooh, Ride the Lightning would be freaking fantastic. And then I started really thinking, and I was like, I don't know what had brought Linkin Park to my mind. My mother loved Linkin Park. And rest in peace, Chester Bennington.
Right.
But my mom loved Linkin Park. And One Step Closer just popped into my head, and I was just like, wait a minute. It works on so many levels. It was one of my mother's favorite Linkin Park songs. And when you think about the trajectory of We Are Wrestling and where we're going, this being our third show, we're one step closer to where we want to be. And so it made sense on so many different levels. And so, yeah. My mom is the reason why I watch wrestling. My mom used to watch wrestling with me all the time. My mom was a huge Undertaker fan. To this day, my mother would have told you that she wanted to marry that man. I remember my mother was the first one to notice that he got the Sarah tattoo taken out of his neck. My mother was the first. She's like, wait a minute. He doesn't have his Did he leave his wife? Do I have a chance? You know,
you saw that instantly. Like, wait, hold up.
Yep. My mom was a huge Undertaker fan. My mom was a huge wrestling fan. I remember when Undertaker made one of his comebacks at WrestleMania. My mom like ran to the living room to watch it and was just like shaking. She was like so in love with him. And that was something that was so shared between us. And it was really great. I know she was so happy that I was starting my own company and really getting to push my vision of what I wanted to create. And so every show, one of our front row seats is always empty. One of our front row seats, the seat she would have sat in every show. And, you know, everything we do at We Are Wrestling is about, you know, I always want to have the best possible show, not only because I want the fans to have a great time, not only because I want to put together a good show, because I would always want to make sure that when my mom left that building that night, she was like, wow, that was even better than the last one and this and this. You know, but yeah, it was an interesting start, and I want to give a really big thank you to Tony DeMasso, who does our production, Trinovis Productions, and he surprised me with that. He put that together unbeknownst to me, and he sent that to me a couple of days after he sent me the first show, and he said, "Hey, this is a little special video for you," and he put that together, and I remember the first time I saw it, I cried. You know, so you know, not only is this company mean a lot to me because it's like, hey, this is my wrestling company. I can't believe I have this. But, you know, this company being dedicated to the memory of my mom and, you know, everything that she loved about pro wrestling as well is just something that I don't care if I never make a dime out of professional wrestling. Knowing that she would love what we're doing is all that matters.
Yeah. I hear you, bro.
Well, my sincere condolences on your loss, and my apologies for bringing up those emotions.
No,
we gotta do our homework here.
Apologize. Listen, that woman deserves to get her face seen as many times as possible. Amen. She deserves all the love. I would love that video to play every day. It makes me emotional, obviously, because of course, you know, who's not going to get emotional seeing their mom's face after you know, lived without her for almost a year.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll always be emotional when I talk about her or see her face or hear her voice. But no, do not apologize. I'm so glad that she was able to be there, and she would love to have been on with a couple of fucking knuckleheads.
We would have loved to have her. We would have loved to have her on.
I would have covered up. I promise.
I would have had to kick show off because he's showing too much chest meat.
Nah, she'd have been mad. She'd be like, "Hold up, Gigi got a blunt. Can I have one too?"
Hey, I got her. Listen, I'll leave it right here by the window for her.
She got an extra glass. You can have some of the Jameson also. You know,
right? It's always here.
Gigi's always ready.
No, but yeah, your mom sounds like an amazing woman, and I know what it's like to lose a mom. And you know what, bro, you're doing your thing out there, and I know she'll be proud of you, bro. It's amazing. That video was amazing, and I was kind of getting like old ECW vibes seeing that. You know, it was I'm lost for words because I get emotional too because I lost my mother. But yeah.
It's never easy. You know, it's never easy. You know, the two most influential women in my life, my grandmother on my father's side and my mom, passed within 5 years of each other. And I find that to be very interesting because, you know, I'm not the biggest believer in like signs and stuff, but they passed like 5 days apart. Wow. Like they missed passing on a 5-year anniversary by 5 days. And I was just like, yo, that's, you know, I know the first thing my mom did was go to heaven and have un cafecito with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mother was OG Puerto Rican Cuban woman. Didn't take shit from nobody.
Ooh, she sounds familiar.
Was the quickest to tell you go fuck off. As much as she would tell you, she'll be like, "Yo, go fuck yourself. Take this plate of food, but fuck you."
Yo, Toe, she sound pretty familiar, Toe.
She does. She does. She sounds very, you know what's crazy? Your story sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, because I lost my mom 11 years ago, and 5 years after I lost my uncle, her brother, and my grandfather lost his wife 5 years before he passed, and then I lost my grandmother New Year's Eve. So, and it's also on my father's side. So it feels like you're telling my story. You like
right, yeah.
There goes Toe right there. you know what I'm saying?
We are all one.
Welcome to Nukkle HeDD Radio. I'm your host.
The only difference is my mom likes Psycho Sid.
I don't know if my mom liked Psycho Sid, but I can see it. I can see it. My mom probably was Psycho Sid.
I definitely have been watching some Psycho Sid promos like within the last few days because just to hear him talk his promos is fucking hilarious. I'll just be like, nah, I need to watch a Sid Vicious promo. This motherfucker. I'm done. I got my fill. Thank you, YouTube.
It was great.
You're half the man that I am. What? Bruh. Yo, I love the face he makes when he fucks up. He's wait a minute.
Bruh. No. Let's do it again. We're live.
We're live, buddy. We're live.
That damn
Yo,
scene,
have you ever been a part of that? Has someone fucked up so bad? Like if you interviewed people, have they fucked up so bad that you was like, I can't save you, buddy? You just said you sucked dick.
I don't think I've fallen down that hole yet. I've been in the middle of a couple of all right, what are we doing here? But never that bad. I've never had those warrior-esque promos. But I've seen some bad promos. I actually was at an independent wrestling show not too long ago, and somebody came out to the ring and cut a promo, and I was sitting in the crowd, and I was just like, oh, shoot me now. Shoot me now. Please, Lord, get the microphone away from this person. Some people remind me of why managers are necessary.
Yeah. Paul Heyman.
But but that's why, listen, I love it because I can manage myself. I can come out and talk my character can talk like this, but then my manager can talk like this, a lot like William Regal a bit, right? So, if we wanted to really get into it, if you really wanted to talk about a couple bloody fucking knuckleheads, right?
He sound like Noah. What is his name? Noah? Is it Noah Black? Noah? I forgot his name.
Noah Black is now Attitude Diamond Wrestling, folks.
We got a manager now.
Trevor Noah. There you go. Trevor Noah.
I love Trevor. I love Trevor Noah. But yeah, no, I mean, there are people in independent wrestling where I'm just like, you need to go to promo class.
Like, wow. Do you have somebody you vibe with? Like when Mean Gene used to clash with what did I say? Mean Gene? Is it Mean Gene?
Yeah, it's
Mean Gene. When he used to clash with Macho Man, it was pure gold. They needed each other. He's doing the 360. That's right. Woo! Now he's doing the 180. Yeah.
I used to love, hashtag fuck Hulk Hogan, but I used to love.
Yo, look at his face. You see Hulk Hogan back there holding the bicep with him?
Standing ovation.
Yo, I swear to God, last week Alex
we
comes
need
in
this
and he's
fuck
like, "Fuck
Hulk
Cena."
Hogan. Hashtag fuck Hulk Hogan. We need that, like
we
right here underneath.
We get bad blood in here, and it's fuck Cena, fuck Hogan. Then we get one Hogan with
Bro,
the man.
you love
Cena, and now
you
fuck
love
Hogan.
it.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
love
want
it.
it. No,
I convinced him earlier tonight to love John Cena.
No.
John, listen.
No.
There's a whole video of you. There's a whole video of you.
Question about John Cena, and I allowed it.
Listen, really quickly. You Pro already went ahead and had a whole video of you and Pete talking before me and Show got here, and he said you love John Cena, and I believe him.
No.
And he's absolutely right. Listen, it's on there. We get it.
Pete, let me give you a little backstory.
It's okay. Denial is the first step.
No. First, I'm on Hulk Hogan's back, and we're swimming the Nile because we're saving you right now.
You on Hulk Hogan's back? Hey, yo.
You're in the Nile, and we're out here. All right.
What you want to say to Joe Byron right now?
What's up, baby? Take me out to dinner.
Hey, yo.
What's up, Hulk Hogan?
Take me out to dinner. But so we do more than just wrestling podcasts. On Friday, we do the Toe on the Show. That's for like real shit, life, whatever. There, I'm saying fuck John Cena. All right, so nobody can get this mind around. You ain't gonna brainwash me. This is like a tomb here. Like I may have half the brain that you do, but I got twice the common sense. So fuck Cena twice.
There you go. And he did it better than Sid.
Double fuck Cena twice. There you go.
I feel like that was Steiner math, and I just lost it.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
You know what? I have to sleep that low because it makes no sense how people fucking like this guy. I don't get it.
You know what's crazy, Pete?
It's John Cena.
I almost came in. I almost came in as John Cena today.
Oh man!
But I was scared that he would have deleted me. He would have shut me off.
You
know what it
is? Him, but he's right there. I promise you can't see him, but he's right there.
No, my brother has a theory.
Let's not get into that.
My brother has a theory. Y'all all like him because you can't see him. I hate him because I fucking can. I am cursed by seeing this.
You're the only one that can see him.
Yeah, I'm the only motherfucker that can see him. I see him for what he truly is.
Oh, I wish
how do you feel
I was here. I'm the only one that can see you, bitch.
Don't worry, listen. Watch, because what's gonna happen is Toe gonna be somewhere one day. Toe gonna be somewhere, and somebody's gonna come up and be like, "So, you think you untouchable?"
Oh my fucking God.
And then you just hit him with the word life. This is basically
oh man, yo,
that's the only gimmick he liked.
Nah, that was the only one I was feeling, but still, I think I might have to fuck him up, son.
See, and we went through this. All right, so we went through this. We already said all this shit you talking about. Fuck John Cena. I ain't gonna know. We gonna get into it. That's it. When I see him, it's on. Like, no, it's not. You're gonna be fucking shocked. Like, oh shit, it's John Cena.
He's gonna have a picture holding
you're definitely gonna take a selfie with John Cena first and foremost because let's be real. And then you probably tell John Cena, yo, by the way, go fuck yourself. We see that happening, but we see you legit having a great conversation with John Cena because you're like, nah, he's not such a bad guy after all. We're in a different perspective because you love John Cena deep down. It's just in denial, and it's okay.
Smooth talking motherfuckers that makes everything seems like it makes sense. Like when Pete was trying to defend him, he made it seem like everything makes sense, but there's holes in his story. I can see through this motherfucker. Trust me.
I feel like
he's a nice guy. Nah. I know he got kids locked up somewhere.
Knuckleheads GoFundMe to pay for a cameo where John Cena goes Doctor of Thugonomics on Toe.
I'll do it. How much is it?
Fucking with this. Yes.
We could play it like we played that video.
Cameo.
I'll tell you what.
You bankrupt, but fuck it. We gotta do it.
I tell you what. You really want to get me shook, Pete? You really want to get me shook? Get a cameo of Sasha Banks and give her my fucking number. Then we'll talk about what's no. Listen. The entire
I don't know if you know this, that she hasn't returned anybody's phone calls lately, all right? Except for Disney. Relax.
Listen, how do I know she didn't leave because of me? How do I know she didn't stumble in the podcast and say, you know what, that toe guy is kind of cute. And then she sees me running around in the hot dog suit. She thinks I'm the hot dog wrestler. And she's like, oh, no, wait, he's a legend. Boom, I'm leaving the WWE for this man. How do I know this? How do I know one of my personas that she put a restraining order on didn't, the restraining order elapsed, and then she's like, if she completely forgot about me, and then the emails came in, and she's like, oh shit, this guy's a fan. What? How do I know this? You know what I'm saying? No one knows this. So Pete, do me a favor, give Sasha my number and tell her that it's time.
Don't be
she should know what's going on.
This motherfucker.
She know who it is.
Every week. It's the same thing.
Yo, every
week,
person,
it's the same thing.
Every guest we have that seen a wrestler in real life, I'm gonna ask him to give Sasha my number.
No, don't.
She wants me to do this. I can feel it.
She does.
It's
Yo,
it's like
you're giving me a lot of Joe from you. All right, vibes. Chill the fuck out.
No, he was a good man. He was a good man.
I feel like Toe is Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense right now. He dead, but don't know he dead.
No, he don't. He been dead.
He don't know he dead. And when you tell him he dead, he gonna be like, nah, I'm not dead. That can't be right. Nah, you dead, bro.
So, Pete, to be a little more serious, did you mention that Jay Lethal's gonna be at the next show?
I did. The main event of One Step Closer, AEW star, Ring of Honor legend, Jersey All-Pro legend, Jay Lethal will be in the building facing the man that I consider to be the heart and soul of We Are Wrestling, Rob Killjoy, who, by the way, I've gotten a lot of questions. Got a lot of questions from people asking, why Rob Killjoy? Why Rob Killjoy? Well, tomorrow we will be uploading our first ever free full match. We will be uploading Rob Killjoy versus Anthony Green from Wanna Be Starting Something back in August, our debut show. And you tell me at the end of that match if you've answered the question of why Rob Killjoy. That's going to be an absolute banger on Sunday night. I am so stoked that Jay Lethal is going to be back in the state that he began his career in. Jersey All-Pro Wrestling. When you talk about people who grew up with New York, New Jersey independent wrestling, Jersey All-Pro is spoken about with an air of reverence. When you talk about the names that step through the doors of Jersey All-Pro Wrestling, if you could build a company around those names, you have the greatest company in the world. And Jersey All-Pro was one of the greatest companies in the world. And Jay Lethal went from there to Ring of Honor, to TNA, back to Ring of Honor, now with AEW. You know, and Sunday night, for one night, he will be at We Are Wrestling.
Nice. And you got Jay Lethal to put the eyes on the other competitors. Who's the match to watch?
Oh man, that's tough. Honestly, this whole card is incredible from top to bottom. We have a battle of generations in Azriel, another ROH original and Jersey All-Pro legend, going up against the Kid Vinny Pacifico. A big battle of generational styles there. You have Mr. Darius Carter, the king of the territory, the 2022 ECWA Super 8 winner, going up against one of the most decorated professional wrestlers in the state of Texas, the Mysterious Q. It's going to be a fantastic match there. You've got Trish Adora, the Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, going one-on-one against Shane Taylor Promotions' own O'Shea Edwards, the Big Bad Kaiju. That is actually a collision of our first two main events. Trish Adora in the main event of our first show, O'Shea Edwards in the main event of our second show back in December. We spoke about this one earlier, Janai Kai versus Tristan Tai. This is going to be a knockout, drag-out fight. That's going to be an incredible match as well. Honestly, a match that I think is going to possibly steal the whole show, the four-way match. Saeed Al-Sabah versus Gabe Sky versus Desmond Cole versus the Prize City OG, Alec Price, the Limitless champion. That is going to be an absolute banger of a match. You've got the tag team war between Fight or Die and The Power. This has been one that is fueled by absolute vitriol between these two. And last, but definitely not least, you have a match between Anthony Gamble from the Fallout Shelter, representing Fallout, representing Battle Club Pro, Anthony Gamble, the captain, going one-on-one against Jay Bougie, who I will be seeing tomorrow night at Invictus Presents TakeOver versus STP. There is not a single match on this card that I would miss. It is stacked from top to bottom.
Nice.
Awesome. Guys, where can you get the tickets at? Sorry to interrupt you, Toe.
Okay, good.
Oh no, you can get tickets on Eventbrite. They will be on sale until Sunday. wearewrestling.eventbrite.com. Click on One Step Closer. Get your tickets. $25 if you buy them now. Get them at the door. They're going to be $5 more expensive. So don't wait. Get them now. You can get them at the door, as I said. You can get Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, right over the George Washington Bridge. We're right next to buses, right next to trains. So even if you're in New York, you can get there. And it's a 3 o'clock show. So we'll get you home in enough time to have dinner.
No, nice. Oh, nice. Yo, before we go, I want to make this a thing for everybody. I asked Alex this question: if I had a magic wand and anything could be possible, where do you see We Are Wrestling going?
So, the ultimate goal for We Are Wrestling is to be able to take the wrestlers that I know and I've grown up with and I've gotten to work with here in the Northeast and expose them to different markets, to expose our Northeast wrestling fans to people who are not from here. It's why I make a big deal of trying to bring a lot of wrestlers in that are not from this area. That is my goal. My goal is not to have the number one wrestling company. My goal is not to make millions and millions of dollars. My goal, I am happy if someone comes to my show and sees a wrestler they've never seen before and becomes a fan, I've done my job. If someone in another market wants to bring in a wrestler because of a match they saw them have at We Are Wrestling, I've done my job. My goal for We Are Wrestling is to build the talent, is to build exposure, and to give our talent opportunities they may not get anywhere else. Give them an opportunity to get out of New York, New Jersey. Give them opportunities to get out of their area and come to the New York, New Jersey market. That is my goal for We Are Wrestling.
Nice.
Awesome.
And
it seems like you're doing it, man. You're living your dream, man. And shout out to Mercedes Martinez, because you said she was an inspiration. She helped you out a lot. And
yeah,
shout
she was
out to
on
your
my
mom.
second show, by the way.
Nice. That must have been something to have her on there.
Oh, yeah, Mercedes Martinez versus Masha Slamovich, and it was a war and a half.
Nice. Shout out to you. What's your mom's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Lisette.
Yeah, just looking for that.
Lisette?
Yeah.
Shout out to your lovely mom, Lisette. RIP.
Word.
You know, sorry for your loss, but yeah, the inspiration behind you, and bro, to many more shows. We gotta call it a night. We reached the end of our show, but appreciate you stopping by.
I appreciate
thank you so much.
me. I want to take a quick moment.
Go ahead.
Thank all of our sponsors, the Jobbeteers podcast, the Your Sports Show podcast, which you can catch me on every week. Your Sports Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Catch us live or catch us on all your streaming platforms every Monday when we drop our new episodes. That is the Your Sports Show, as we do. Thank you to the Your Sports Show, to the Jobbeteers podcast, true hardcore wrestling fans, heel pops and chair shots, the G'd Up gentlemen. I know I'm missing a couple, but if it were not for the sponsors that are there for us every single show, if it weren't for the fans that buy a ticket, there would be no We Are Wrestling. There would be nothing to continue growing. And I am completely indebted to every podcast that has us on to talk We Are Wrestling, to every promoter in New Jersey and New York who lets me attend their shows and give out flyers for We Are Wrestling, for every sponsor who's ever sponsored a show, whether it was $1 or $100 or more than that, whether every fan who's ever bought a ticket, anybody who's ever supported us. I am eternally grateful to you in ways I can't even count. And I want to thank my new best friends, the one and only Knuckleheads. Absolutely. I want to thank y'all so much. And we gotta have you at We Are Wrestling one day.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I know Gigi sponsored a match, and the Knuckleheads would love to sponsor a match, so maybe we could talk more about how we could go about doing that.
Mhm.
You know, and would definitely. I've never been to an independent wrestling show.
You gotta come this Sunday. That's it.
My cousin just graduated from college, so they
bring him
fucking
too. No.
If they were into wrestling, I would have.
They will be after my show. No, I get it.
I get, yeah.
I get it, but we got to get you out. We got to get you out
Definitely. I'm gonna come out and make that a thing. We're gonna have a little like school.
You know
trip
what? Clean your calendar in June, Juneteenth weekend. You, my friend, the Knuckleheads, y'all are coming to Black Wrestle Fest. Y'all are gonna chill out there. Y'all gonna see all the great stuff there in Brooklyn, and you're gonna go with me to Battle Club Pro. They just announced they're having another doubleheader show Juneteenth weekend as part of Black Wrestle Fest. We're going to get you out there, even if it's not a We Are Wrestling show. Toe, we are taking you to independent wrestling.
We're going to Disneyland, so stop playing.
We're gonna go to indie wrestling, indie Disneyland.
We're gonna go to the moon and do the other thing.
I'm down.
I'm definitely down.
Listen,
definitely.
I'm telling you my first wrestling show was the one that I actually sponsored, which was fucking amazing. And I took my daughter with me, and she was like, "This is so fucking awesome." Not in those words, but she's getting there.
Yeah.
But she's like, "This is so cool. Can I high five them? Can I hug them?" Like, she saw Willow Nightingale.
Yeah.
She saw Brooke Valentine. She was just like all around, and she's like, "This is so cool."
That's what's so great about independent wrestling. It's the intimacy of it, the fact that you get to meet the wrestlers, the fact that you get to interact with the wrestlers, the fact that legitimately, if you were sitting in the front row of a wrestling show, an independent wrestler could land in your lap, right?
Yep.
This is so. And listen, I love WWE shows, I love AEW shows, I love going to the live shows, but there's something so intimate, so close about independent professional wrestling. You're getting to meet all of these stars before they become the stars that are on your TV. Like, I can't tell you, as much as I hate him, as much of an asshole as he is, I can't tell you how much I smile every time I see MJF on television. Because I remember when he graduated from the Creative Pro Wrestling Academy in Long Island. I smile every time I see Chris Statlander, Bear Bronson, Bear Country, all of them. Everybody that I've ever seen come out of the area around here. People that are either in WWE now, Joe Gacy, who I've worked with, who has been on shows that I've put together. Like, seeing these people on television, living out their dreams, and knowing that I was able to experience them before they got there, there's something special about that, and that's the beauty of independent wrestling.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Like knowing a baseball player before they make it to the majors.
That's right.
I like it.
Nice. And yeah, we'll end it on that note, because I'm inspired. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna go to sleep tonight, but
Shit, we gotta do something. So.
But yeah, I'm excited and inspired now. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's your friendly neighborhood Knuckleheads signing out. Peace, everybody.